They put my titties on Newsweek, which is crazy. The Aiden Rosses of the world. A lot of these guys are right adjacent, maybe. They organically found themselves in this space. And I think the Republican Party took advantage of that very well. That same ecosystem doesn't exist on the left. It's not necessarily flooding the market with like a bunch of liberals. Like, oh, if we had like 8 more Pod Save Americas that kind of look like me, for example, like more bro-y, right? Then that would be fine. It's like, no, you can't podcast your way out of this problem. There was a list that looked at who had the top like election night coverage, who had the most views. And that list was populated exclusively by right-wingers except for me. So I'm out there. I'm here. But obviously, I'm not directly aligned with the top of the ticket or with many of the establishment Democrats and their attitude towards consistently and stubbornly defending third-way neoliberalism. There is a divide here that does not exist within the Republican base of support that will develop a relatively conservative audience. So I think this is an issue that has to be solved top-down. I think first, it's not about like 10 more podcasters or 20 more liberal podcasters. I think it's more so about the Democratic Party looking within and doing the correct autopsy after this 2016 style defeat. I think not addressing the economic hardships that people were experiencing with direct policy prescriptions in a way that separated yourself from Joe Biden was probably the #1 problem. Yeah, I cleaned the microphone. You're so well spoken about this shit. I don't understand why they'd make you repeat it so much. It's good. I will always repeat it. You already know. I will never stop repeating it. You can hate us on, but he's speaking facts. Whether you want to believe it or not, Democrats try to run on vibes instead of giving people genuine policies that would run. Hassan really does have such good takes when he's being serious. Law. Lamal, posting a Hasanabi clip makes you lose all credibility. Wow, Hassan actually got something right. He does that quite often. Yeah. That's my favorite thing to see under in the comment section of like every single video is always like, wow, incredibly rare Hasanabi W. And it's like, yeah, dude, Hassan, but 90% of the reason people are watching you has nothing to do with what you're saying, Law. Yeah. Hassan, Harry, and the others are on the other team. 100 TikToks of different Hassan takes. Finally, he got something right. Yeah, it's always so funny because it'll literally be like, it'll always be something that is like, you know, thing I've advocated for my entire life. I saw this. Hold on. Baby dog ban. Jim Justice's bulldog can't visit the Senate floor. As you guys know, I hate Jim Justice, but I love baby dog. I am a baby dog defender. I'm a baby dog believer. Okay? And free him and make the Senate better. Okay? This is unacceptable. This is now my liberal January 6th moment. Okay? This is my liberal January 6th moment, folks. We did it. We got here. I'm here. I'm there. What's a baby dog? Baby dog is Jim Justice's dog. This is why people watch me. Baby girl, I'm finna rock your shit. I don't know if you care about all this, but MKBHD is being canceled for doing 96 in a 35 school zone. That's pretty funny. Yeah, let the man live, dude. Look, I think what we need also is not just like not just girly pop content, but people need to make these like fan cam style fucking clips of me just like popping off or making like a good statement with like lo-fi, yeet in the background, that type of shit. Like that's what also responds so positively for the bro space. That's what we got to do more of, honestly. Like the things that I was, you got to do like you got to do what all those fucking idiots do, where some guy will be like, the riverbank, words mean something. Like the river, it flows in one direction, and the riverbank is where money is, and it's like lo-fi, hard bass fucking music is playing in the background, like those deep videos. You know what I mean? We need to make some more shit like that. Yeah, funk edits, exactly. Like slow and reverbed yeet playing in the background. Do a quick PSA to not burn houses down. Everyone's celebrating it on TikTok, but innocent people who are anti-Nazis could get harmed or worse die. Wait, what? Yeah, it needs to be this. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like shit like this. Funk. Funk is the music name I was looking for. That's what we need. We need less like we like the baby girl shit. Like I love the baby girl edits that fan edits that are like, you know, sexy and for the ladies, but we need something for the bros as well. We need some Sigma edits out there. Fuentes' house got set on fire. Dude, that's insane, man. I don't think people understand that like Nicholas Fuentes isn't living there alone, okay? Like there's fucking people. Oh, this is what I meant, by the way. This is exactly what I meant when I said the edits. Like there's, I think that's fake. Oh, okay.
9/11, that it was an inside job. Okay, cool. What does that tell you? That there's going to be more of them. What does that tell me? That I need to get rich and get out so that I'm not bound to the system. Whatever vertical you take me down, the first solution is self-develop, have a good spiritual relationship with God, and then make some money. What do you learn from?
This is it. This is straightforward, like what I got to do. I got to do more of this.
Join the stream. Everyone's begging for you to leave. The vibe's down. It's boring. It's late at night for me. I came here to have fun. You're being boring. No one thinks you're cool. No one thinks you're intelligent. No one thinks you're funny.
I don't think I'm cool or intelligent. I just have questions and you're not answering them for some reason.
No,
why are we derailing?
I don't have to answer your questions. You're not the police. I don't have to answer
No, 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 not at all. No, I am not the UK police nor the Romanian one. We got to do more of this shit, dude. They removed it, by the way. They fucking removed it back then. And then because all the Andrew Tate bros were fucking coming after me and trying to get me mass banned. Is Hasanabi still around? Yeah, what a timeline. What a timeline shift. But yeah, all of this content is exactly just like a guy saying dumb shit.
What have you learned
I actually like this guy kind of, but
choosing a good partner? Sometimes you're running and the other one's walking.
But yeah, this
I just ran 24.
But I don't know what my son.
Okay, I like all these guys so far that they've shown, but well, actually, what the fuck is this?
Harvard at least did this study, which is they talk about your reference group, which is the biggest predictor of people's long-term financial well-being is their reference group, which is, and this is important, is that it's the 5 people you compare yourself to, not the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I think that's a huge difference. You want to take
moves.
advice,
TikTok is the best. Can you please
not
watch?
from the people who are closest to you, but the people who are closest to your goals. Take advice from them. And people are like, oh yeah, I'll take advice from them. But when you're about to make a big life-changing decision, who do you talk to? If you're talking to the people closest to you, none of them have relevant experience. And if you don't want their lives, then definitely don't listen to what they say, right? And it's very hard because that's what makes it feel so lonely, I think, in the beginning, because you have no one to talk to. And so that's why I'm such a big believer in heroes and mentors. So mentors are people who actually interact with you, but heroes are just like, what would Warren Buffett, some people are religious, what would Jesus do? Whatever your thing is, right? Like, who's the—
Hear me out, self-help, but with materialism? Yeah, that's what I got to do more of, honestly. And I mean, I do that already. You just got to clip it. The Democrats lost because you didn't do Chad Weiss enough. Yeah, that's why. My favorite is the I've changed and manipulated time guy. Yeah, that guy is the best, dude. He's always cooking. What the fuck is this?
If you are nervous while speaking to a female, communicate that to her. By saying this out loud, it will automatically calm your nerves. And if she is a good person, she'll provide comfort. This will in turn relax you even further and allow the best of your personality to shine through. A player does not keep his fears inside. He lets them out and faces them.
This is a bit, chat. I mean, it's pretty good. Anyway, let's get to the news. Now that we talked about the best pathway forward for propaganda, I assume there's a Themacius playlist that I have not seen, but Trump guy talking about he only wants to date libs and how he does it. Oh, there is a playlist. Nice. Themacius, thank you for the playlist. We're going to do Trump's cabinet picks in a second. We're obviously going to be talking about, you need more planted questions in the chat. People asking like, Hassan, how do I get a cute girl to care about my material conditions in the face of rising fascism? Y'all are such fucking nerds, dude. Okay, I take it back. It's not happening for any of you, okay? Yeah, dude, that's how we're going to fucking solve this crisis, this messaging crisis. Okay. Hassan, dirtiest shit you've ever heard, okay? I saw a TikTok that addressed this so perfectly, and it's really funny because like there were people immediately in the comments being like, fuck you, he's talking about you actually. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I was thinking about this last night, and it's like a pretty big part of my method, my strategy, my outreach in general. Okay, here, I'm gonna let this run real quick.
I feel like if you can't talk to a group of teenage boys with like very extremist, crazy views and have them walk away like, that guy's pretty cool. You're not capable of leading a movement. Like, there's so many swaggerless, no charisma having ass niggas out here thinking they can just debate their way into making people feel the way they feel about certain topics. Like, nah, man, you can't be on TikTok live debating niggas all day thinking it's gonna change the world, bruh. You gotta be a little cool, bruh. I don't know, man. Watch some football games. Get into like sports.
And a lot of you nerds don't get it. Look, never educate. Got it. No, dumbass. Education doesn't come from fucking debate. Okay? Shut the fuck up. He's right. He's 100p right. That's why whenever I fucking collab with like the Phase Boys or whatever, so many people chirp. They're like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I've heard them being insufficiently leftist. Excuse me. And it's like, yeah, there's a reason. When I do those collaborations, literally the entire chat's like, damn, Hassan is actually quite cool. I had no idea, because everyone's constantly fucking telling me that he's the worst person that's ever existed on the fucking planet. Be fucking normal. It goes a very long way.
Anime.
You've never watched football a day in your life, not even football. Yeah, but he also talks about anime here. It's just like I have a lot of normal interests. That's my point. I love playing basketball. I love watching anime. These are things that are important, okay? I think we have forgotten what it's like to be normal and to talk to one another, even if you fucking disagree with people. God damn. I can't believe how much I have to like communicate this to not only my audience, but just in general.
Some people actually like, stop being a nerd. I don't know. I feel like,
yeah, I said yes to this, and immediately, you need to take this advice, Goofy. He don't debate, bro. No, he don't. Yeah, you're right. Me and these other 700 people just wrong. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I forgot TikTok likes automatically validates your opinion. Go look it up yourself, bro. He debates every stream. You don't debate live on stream. What are you talking about? He deconstructs other people's videos and points. You don't debate him. God, nonsense in bio, opinion discarded. You don't even have a real argument. It's okay, man. He's talking about you, dude. He's talking about you, dog. Rogan was an MMA actor, comedian before begging on the internet. You were a Nepo baby UCLA frat boy. Was it Lambda Jank made you, but you failed because you're lame? Hassan, look in the mirror. You're basically as bad as Destiny at this point. You call people pig dog. What the fuck is, I don't even know what the fuck that's about. TikTok comments, dude. The people that like love debate, okay? Baby dog. People that love debate, and there is definitely a space for that, for sure. Okay? There's definitely a space for people that love debate. It's just you're going to convince a lot more people just by being fucking normal and being a chill ass dude, okay? I've explained this a million times over. It's about creating permission structures, okay? The more you have, man. Yeah, I love this one when he Jokic, Joe Star is Bizarro World Asmongold. That's my goat right there. TikTok comment sections like how you talk to Bradley, like how you didn't go aggro or too nerdy or embarrassing for not knowing basic stuff. Yeah, no shit. Did you ever do policy debate or any other kind of formalized debate in high school and or college? No. Okay? No. And you want to know why I didn't do that? Because that shit is nerdy as fuck. Okay? It's nerdy as hell. That's the reality. Okay? No, I was not doing that. Like, there is a time and place and a space for debates. Okay? It's mostly for pure entertainment. You can actually change people's minds that way too. But like, the environment that fosters is going to be people making tutorials on how to find icks about you. What? If you need an ick to detach from a certain sexy socialist streamer, here you go. What? I block Hassan every single account. He's on another type of fake ally. The whole Turkish thing, they all have went astray. Yes, but I think they have a strategy. What? My girl, you've released me. Thank you. What the fuck is this? What is the ick?
33-year-old man talk to an impressionable 20-year-old that way was really gross. Like, it's so gross. Also knowing that Jason the Ween and him have large young male followings, that's the type of messaging he's putting out to young men constantly. It's not usually that direct, it's not usually that obvious, and usually, like I said, it's obfuscated by other political beliefs that you can agree with. But that shit was not cool. Like, he's still gonna keep going and pushing out whatever content he wants, and if you like that, you like that. If you're looking to detach because you don't like how he talks about things, might I recommend that one to just kind of be the final ick you need to fully detach.
What's your body count?
I have no idea.
Do you have like a notepad of everybody? No. Damn. So you
When I was young, like up to like the 20th, I think I had it.
okay. Higher or lower 100?
It's probably higher.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. Have you ever gotten a STD?
No. Do you practice safe sex?
Oh, no, I don't use condoms.
That's not good, bro. I mean, I don't either, but
Shit.
at least get checked up. You get checked up?
I don't have sex. I lied.
Wait, what?
I don't have sex.
What about all the girls you're always hanging out with? You're lying.
I do have sex. I do get that a lot.
That was the ick. He's saying you should practice safe sex and get checkups. Like what? Or that I have that like he presented it to me and I literally she's slut shaming you and saying Jason, a 20-year-old is an impressionable young man as if he's a minor. Oh fuck. Yeah. I mean, look, all I'm going to say is I feel like there's a lot of people who are, I don't know, antagonistic to my worldview. But I mean, this is the type of shit, to be honest with you, this is the type of shit that is like, you know, keep yelling into the fucking void. But like that interview, ironically enough, exactly what I was talking about of me being just like a normal person. Okay. Yeah. It might be an ick for you, but I think that there's a lot of people that you didn't watch the whole thing. There was something in the beginning. No, I just assume it's like it's just appeal. Yeah,
just rampant misogyny. Okay, I got into him because I saw the clips online. They seemed good. I watched the streams, and he's hot. Like, let's not fucking deny that. You know, that's part of the appeal. Because he was so hot and because I believed in like a lot of the core political things he was talking about, I excused a lot of misogyny or just like let it pass by, right? But post-election, I'm not feeling it anymore. I'm not. It's very obvious that he has not done the work to interrogate, unpack, and rectify his own misogyny while he's espousing whatever political beliefs he has. Like, misogyny is integral to his political...
If I catch any of you dumb motherfuckers in her replies being annoying to her, I will shoot you out of orbit, okay? I will blast you into space on the first fucking rocket ship to Mars. Don't you ever do that shit. I hate it so much when you guys go and fucking brigade random like small ass TikTok accounts. I hate it because I don't think they should face the severe repercussions of like drawing ire from my community. I despise that shit. Okay, there are people who are big boys and big girls who can fucking who say a litany of unhinged things, and you know who they are. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you the same thing about like Ben Shapiro, for example, right? But this is a random person on TikTok. I probably shouldn't have even looked at this video. As it's got like 900 likes or whatever in one day. I think it's odd that I think it's just like odd and awkward that this is like a major, like this is like the type of thing that you're interested in doing, where you're like, hey guys, I know we have a crisis of facing young men and trying to get them on the side of progressive politics, but there is a guy who has done that successfully for the past 6 years, and I think we should comb through his political conversations or even non-political conversations with young men with massive young male audiences, and then comb through it and be like, you are not sufficiently woke in this process. And then the thing that she posts and the thing that she presents is like me being myself. Like, I'm sorry. Yes, dude, I don't have qualms. I'm sorry that like you think it's gross that I have had sex, you know? Jesus Christ. It's not like something that I present personally or flex personally. I'm not like, yeah, I fuck a lot. Like, I don't do that. I'm fucking an incel, okay? I'm a involuntarily celibate person. Central Committee, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Central Committee is back, okay? Anyway, that's the whole problem. That's the problem. People don't fucking understand. Like, everyone just thinks like, no, actually, what we have to do, don't worry, as I'm misogyny is why I stayed in the community. That's what I'm talking about, baby. I don't know why this feels like she's projecting some sort of parasocial something here. The thing is, I do have a healthy dose of misogyny, certainly. Like, I'm a man, okay? And yes, at times, I do have a tendency to say certain things that are misogynistic, and I recognize it, and I try to dial it back, okay? That's the reality is, that's the best expectation. You know what I mean? What the fuck? Don't lower your standards. That's not what I'm saying at all, okay? If that's not for you, and that's fine. I have a mostly male audience, okay? A lot of white dudes in here. Ironically enough, a lot of white dudes that happen to fit the mold of the people that the Democratic Party has left behind. I'm in a space that is dominated by white dudes, okay? Young white men. This is all it is. This entire space is young white men. Be fucking normal. Make sure that I think people cannot address their own view of aesthetic versus actual material issues. I think this is a case where a bro guy talking about sex is all being essentialized as misogyny. And that is a part of the issue with why libs can't message to young men who are open to progressive messaging. I know. You do that shit, people are going to be like, what the fuck are you saying? Especially if you do that shit to someone like myself. Okay? I didn't say I'm young. I'm saying that, like, my audience is younger white men in general. That's unnecessary capitulation. You're a bozo sometimes, but I'm misogynist. Don't give the chirpers anything. They're bad faith. No, there's definitely moments where I say shit that is, like, definitely misogynistic. I recognize it. Sometimes I'm, like, being sarcastic and it reads as me being, like, openly and overtly misogynistic, and that happens quite a bit. But like, ultimately, I spend a whole great deal of time, advocating for women's rights. I don't know what the fuck you're saying. If you're like, oh, it gave me the ick that he fucks. They're not mad you fuck. They're mad you admit you don't use condoms. In my opinion, kind of valid. Should have admitted that to an impressionable audience, but this is over the top from her, Lamau. I mean, first of all, yes, I'm not gonna get into this. Yes, I do use condoms. Okay. Of course I use condoms. When you're, I don't want to talk about my private life. And I usually don't talk about sex in general. Okay. I think it's fucking stupid to talk about it. As a woman in here, I'm going to make myself lunch while you guys debate this. It feels better. Pregnancy is a skill issue. True.
Young men, ages 17 to 21-ish, I'm being so genuine right now. It does not have to be this way. There are entire industries built around getting you to misdiagnose the causes of your loneliness and insecurity.
Chat's kind of proving why there isn't a Joe Rogan on the left. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's funny to look at two grown-ass men having a fucking conversation that is, like, so normal and infinitely more progressive than the type of shit that normally goes on, and being like, that's the shit! Go watch a fucking Fresh and Fit video, dumbass! The fuck do you mean? They're over there advocating on, like, medieval methods of torturing women and shit, and you're over here being like, well, you said you like to have sex without a condom because it feels better? Yeah, dude, you're right. You're right. I do. Shut the fuck up. Crazy. Ironic, because that conversation I was, like, literally telling Jason, okay? Ironically enough, I was giving him advice. He was asking my advice about, like, his relationships and what to do. In that larger conversation, I explained to him that, like, it's definitely healthier to no longer be in a relationship. Like, a lot of relationships, like, fall apart. Okay? A lot of relationships sometimes fall apart for good reason, and then, like, trying to pick that back together is oftentimes not the productive thing to do. Life is better when you move on, yada yada yada. But no sex without condoms. I can't believe this 33-year-old man is talking about sex to a baby girl who is only 21 years old or 20 years old. Is crazy.
And seek out help for those problems, seek out treatment for that stuff from people who only look to exploit you for power, from people whose entire business models or election strategies or whatever are built entirely around getting you to continue feeling that way and then directing your subsequent.
As a woman, I hate that most women dislike you is because they heard one thing and assume 50 more things out of that. I don't think most women dislike me. I have a pretty fucking solid base of female watchers as well. It's wild. And ultimately it doesn't matter. It's the same principle all the way down, okay? My job is to de-radicalize people. That is the number one thing I'm here to do. So what do I always tell trans folk, for example, sometimes when I'm talking about trans issues, that's not for you. That's for transphobic people, okay? And I tell my black Hasanabi heads when I talk about issues that pertain to the black community, that's not for you. You already know that. You're black, you know? This is for a white guy who's never heard of that before, who's never heard an alternative perspective, you know? It's not for you. You know that already. It's your existence. And the same thing goes for like misogyny as well and women's rights as well. It's fucking crazy. And there's not much I can do in terms of like overcoming the aesthetics. And it's especially funny because like those broy aesthetics is partially why I have such a fucking large community that is relatively diverse, right? Why don't you have more blacks on the stream? Oh, come on. The weakest bait of all time. You're so fucking stupid. Take an hour off for this dumbass take, okay? Chatter said blacks. Also, the fuck do you mean? What do I always tell you? That's always a losing argument when someone says, why don't you have more black people on the stream? And then we just start naming black people. It's like, what the fuck? It's so dumb. Shut up, idiot. No, that person is doing don't do the fucking the whitest thing you can do, which is to immediately start naming black people, okay, that have been on the stream. It's so dumb. No, you don't understand. That is a trap, okay? And black chatters such as that one that said, why don't you have more blacks on the stream, okay, obviously are doing that as bait, as a joke, as a meme, even though I banned them for an hour, okay? And they're saying that as a joke, but then when you respond with like, you respond with in the most Caucasian way possible, you go, oh, here are all the black people that have been on the stream in the past week. Like you're being super Caucasian, okay? As a woman, it's not the condom part, it's the term body count specifically because it gets used against women, but you didn't bring it into the conversation. Jason did. Yeah, also, I have routinely talked about how under a patriarchal structure, the body count conversation doesn't harm men, or even objectification doesn't harm men in the same way that it harms women. So the fuck are we talking about? Go find someone else to yell about, you know? That wasn't a black chatter. We don't say blacks. No, the chatter was joking when they said that. They were very clearly baiting. They weren't being serious. They were doing the meme, the common meme that people go, why don't you have enough? Yeah, you literally talked about it on the Fear M pod yesterday. I know, it's so dumb. Look, man, I'm sex positive. If you got an issue with that, you got an issue with that. There's not much I can do about it.
Anger or rage or intense feelings, a desire for action, whatever, in directions that suit their needs, that further their causes. That's all you are to them. There's a lot of people that are too far gone, completely convinced that happiness is going to trickle down once we get this guy another term and we accomplish all these things on like a macro national scale. I, tomorrow as an individual, will wake up feeling fulfilled. The hollow feeling inside me will be gone. That is never going to happen. And for all of the people who are like on the fence, undecided, floating around, looking for something real to grab onto, that is my message to you. You are never going to fix your anger or your loneliness or your insecurity by joining a movement that specifically recruits you for feeling that way and then is fueled by the continuation of those feelings. It's not going to happen.
Activists campaigning for the release of January 6th rioters pop champagne outside the DC jail. Oh yeah, Donnie's got some pop-off stuff. I mean, he's got content lined up for years at this point now. But yeah, Jokic Joe Star,
the solutions
my
that
goat,
you're looking.
Okay, love him. This was posted before the election.
I love all the Democrats telling me that I'm the single issue voter and that if Kamala Harris loses in November, it's my fault. You guys are supporting.
Okay. I don't want to get further into this stuff. All right, we got. As a woman, what rubbed me the wrong way was deciding to broadcast, bring it up now during the Hasana's anti-Semitic campaign. Like, sure, we can have this convo. Seems like weird timing. Yeah. First of all, once again, Like there is a level of like there is a level of misogyny that I sometimes will demonstrate. Overall, I am a feminist and I am an advocate for women's rights. That much is clear. But having said that, I'm far from perfect. Okay. That's something that I readily recognize. But in terms of like anti-Semitism, that's fucking ridiculous. Okay. Like I would say that it is probably, it is so unimaginably ridiculous. It's like saying I'm transphobic. Okay. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like that's, and me even recognizing that is just me demonstrating that I am self-aware and I try to do my very best, right? And ironically enough, all of this shit that people fucking chirp at me about in terms of like my unrestrained like ableism, misogyny, sexism, transphobia, anti-Semitism, like 98% of people would be massive fans of mine if I actually was that, okay? The people that are saying that are cynically saying it for the most part. They just have like, usually they have a disagreement with one political opinion or the next, and then they just like kind of couch their criticism in something else, like a broader point. It is what it is, you know? I like how understanding and normal you are about this stuff. Twitter from like 2017 era made me so afraid of saying something wrong by accident. I like they have a grounded approach. Yeah, because I understand people are fucking imperfect, you know? As a Jewish person, I understand the difference between criticism of an entire group of people versus the government that represents them. You are 100% not anti-Semitic. Jew brawn lames. Excuse me. Jew brawn lames. That is an unacceptable username. Okay? I read the first part and I was like, haha, that's funny. And then I saw the last part and I thought to myself, well, someone is being a little racist. Change your name. Baja blast my brains out. Thank you for the 10 community gifted subs. When have you been genuinely misogynistic? No, it's not like there's different layers to it. Okay. There's different layers of misogyny. You have to understand, like I'll give you an example. Okay. Sometimes I pop off on like conservative women, right? Like calling Marjorie Taylor Greene ugly. Okay. Which she is. Like she is a freak. Okay. She looks like a goddamn Titan from Attack on Titan. Now that technically is misogynistic. Why is it misogynistic? I say men are ugly too. Doesn't matter. It impacts women differently. It undermines women. Women are supposed to, it comes with a lot of baggage, okay? It comes with a lot of baggage. The baggage is systematic forms of oppression that I am using against a woman. So some people are going to see that and go, he's being misogynistic there. I have been undermined in the past because I don't fit certain, standards of beauty, and men have undermined me in the past for that reason. Is the immediate feeling that a lot of people are going to have. It's a bit of a microaggression, or maybe even a macroaggression. It's just an aggression, right? That right there is a inherently misogynistic statement. Okay, that rant clip of you during the Tate debate time was big on TikTok. Or here, I'll give you another example. When I say I fucked your mom to a chatter, okay? Now people are going to read that as misogynistic. And to a certain degree, it is. Okay? And it's true. That's where the like, it's not people saying like you're misogynistic because like you want to control what women can and can't do to their fucking bodies or anything like that. Like the unrestrained, unrestricted misogyny online ranges from the likes of people being like, lol, get back to the kitchen jokes, okay, to women, and they mean it when they say it, all the way to like the Nicholas Fuentes neo-Nazi who is celebrating and like going crazy on his fucking live stream on the night of the election coverage, where he is like celebrating the fact that, you know, your body, my choice, your body, my choice. Like that is like the highest level of misogyny, in my opinion. That's like you've reached like maximalist, a maximum position, you know? As a woman, the way you discuss topics can sometimes feel abrasive, especially since many of us are conditioned to respond better to softer, more indirect communication. Your approach is, this is how it is, which works with the guys, but I can feel a bit blunt for some women. It's not that you're rude, just that the directness can be off-putting at times. Yeah, I know. I understand that, right? I get that. But I can't change myself. Like, I can only restrain certain aspects and re-examine my approach, but I'm not going to fucking like, I'm not going to become like a fake ass fucking male feminist archetype from like 2016. Okay. Like, ooh, I just not who I am. It's not going to happen. I think the disconnect is between people from inherently liberal circles and those from more conservative backgrounds. Yeah. Like, I have found me being my authentic self to be relatively successful in converting people away from reactionary politics. And that absolutely pertains to, people re-examining the patriarchy and the systems of oppression that come and undermine women with regular frequency. And that is, but you can stop talking about MGT being fuckable or not. Now you're making excuses instead of introspection. Please stop this. Yes. First of all, I don't think MGT is fuckable or not is ever been a real question. Okay. No, I just say she's horrible to look at. Okay. She is horrifying. She's a monstrous piece of shit that also ends up reflecting the way she looks. Her insides have turned out, You're the one who is making it seem like whether she is sexually attractive or not. I'm not talking about that. A lot of people on the left also need to understand that, you got to be, look, if you have, everyone has a different thing. Everyone has a different layer of acceptability. Okay. Everyone has a different thing. Like, everyone has a different limit, right? If your upper limit is like, me being like, MGT looks like a titan, and you're like, wow, this is the most like unrestrained misogyny I've ever heard, then yeah, I'm not going to be for you. This is not the content. It's far from the most significant thing I talk about, right? It's far from the most significant part of my commentary, but there's like 98%. If you agree with 98% of the shit that I say, she looks like an unethical dog breed. If you got issues with that sort of commentary, then yeah, this is not a space for you. You can find other places that are infinitely more understanding, infinitely more open-minded to that sort of sentiment. But like, online bitching at Hassan, but voted for Trump and has a crusty boyfriend. No, a crusty boyfriend who voted for Trump. Yeah. I'm not going to do that. I think you've made your point. Now the only people disagreeing are going to be the people who have a horrible time interpreting what you're directly saying. Yeah. The funniest thing you said was when you said she was going home to celebrate something with a Kong full of peanut butter. I think that was, did I say that or did Felix say that? Okay. All right. What is this?
Like, dude that likes Trump but is only into liberal women. It's a lot like being in the closet. Because it's like they're going to ask you about it eventually. And you have to say what we all say, which is, I don't really follow politics. But like, there's levels to this, man. You got to be discreet. You got to be really good at it. And it's not that hard once you get used to it. You just like lie a lot. You can just lie really well to liberal women and just like make them think that you aren't really into politics.
Dog, I think everyone from 7 miles away, unless they are car crash victims, and directly clock you as a conservative and maybe even other shit. Okay? Like, come on, dude. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, lie to women. One thing that people always tend to forget is that, like, listen, we're pro women here, but that doesn't mean all women are, well equipped with a radar or even care about your internal politics. Some broads are dumb. Okay, many men are dumb. And certainly some women can be dumb too. They're going to fucking fall for you regardless. What is this idea? Like, pretty sure everyone can tell exactly where you're coming from. And some people are overlooking that because, they've given up.
Politics and everything works out. It's totally fine.
Of all the things.
Has anyone thought about the fact that a man saying they don't like Donald Trump is probably going to be a lie they use to get women?
That's crazy. It's true. Oh, Jesus Christ. God damn. That didn't take much. Okay.
Has anyone thought?
I think, I'm going to be honest with you. I think like we got, God, I'm worried, dude. We are reaching the peak of gender wars, I think. This scary stuff happening, okay? Is also usually not like the truth, okay? That's the other thing. It's just not the truth. So many people will say this in a heated moment, in a passionate moment, and then go and date like a Trump supporter who is the most racist man you have ever encountered. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what's so annoying. It's like all the fucking. I had a pop off moment for this inconsistency when I was talking about like, I don't know, like a Stan account for fucking Harry Styles, talking about like men and the choices that men make in terms of like you know, people's bodies or whatever. And it's like, well, you're a fucking Stan account for Harry Styles. Like, you like the way he looks. Like, we often have the capacity to refuse to look at our own personal imperfections and just kind of have this like outward presence of infallibility. We're like, oh, these people are not perfect. Like, they have stupid ass opinions that I don't agree with. And many of them are stupid, right? But you have some stupid ass opinions too. We all do. Anyway, remember when you clocked this Trump supporter?
Somebody said I look like a gay guy that would vote for Trump.
You don't even look like a gay guy. You look like just a guy that would vote for Trump.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Hassan has this like camo sweatshirt merch.
Yeah, but it's like
no. But
patched
I
up
get
and
dirty
stuff.
looks when I land in California because they think that I'm like neurotic conservative dude that's like wearing camo. But anyway, yeah, I do have a lot of privilege. So much so that people don't even believe that I'm gay when I tell them. Not until I am inside of them do they understand.
Yeah. It's
Somebody
so funny
said,
because I saw some comments. Bet they both voted for Trump. I can tell you Hassan did for sure. I did not, however. You fucking piece of shit. Yo, this fucking son of a bitch. Oh my God. This is slander, bro. I'm suing your ass, okay? I'm done. I'm done with this monster. What the hell, dude? How dare you? Chill, brother. I told you that in confidence. Why are you fucking telling people? I told you that as a friend, Austin. I can't pay. Always thought Austin was a Trumpy. I campaigned for Kamala Harris. Was at the DNC. Interviewed Bernie Sanders and phone banked. I campaigned for Kamala. I was at the DNC. Yeah. Well, so was I. You fucking asshole. And I voted for Donald Trump in your mind. So how does that work? Anyway. Okay. Lolo's message to Austin. What? Post has been deleted. Speaking of gender wars, what do you think about tradwives being an idea sold to women and more people are biting? A lot of tradwife videos are oftentimes not even explicit about it. I keep seeing it more and more. I mean, a lot of women have unimaginable levels of internalized misogyny. And I think that tradwife stuff is so perfect because, one, it leans into that. Okay. On the train, watching Hassan the Hun stream, and he keeps pausing it at the worst frames of Jack. I feel so bad, but it's so funny. He's just sitting here being upset about it. Oh, that's hilarious. I also call him Bizarro Asmongold, which is not great. I mean, I really like him. I really like him a lot. Hasanabi thinks the tradwife stuff is perfect. No, my point is, if you have internalized misogyny, okay, as a woman, and you see the tradwife shit, you're like, damn, I don't want to fucking work. Work sucks. Like it quite literally flips the class position on its head. You know what I mean? Especially because they're showcasing like this traditionalist lifestyle in all of its glory when it's like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that just absolutely sucks about it. You know what I mean? It's just the aesthetic allure of not having to work and thinking that like work at home, you know, maintaining a home is going to be much better than going to work for some fucking shit ass boss. It is pretty funny though, because, you know, I think everyone is basically looking for the same thing.
You are gay, 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 you are gay.
Yeah, I wonder why he deleted that TikTok. Yeah, tradwife is displayed as idealistic. Most of her is subject to 9 possible standards, so I could say either sex could use a break in many respects. What? Are we talking about the 4B shit? Unemployment hitting Lolo hard? Yeah, he posted a photo of Yahya Sinwar, and I texted him this tweet, and I was like, bro just gave up on the job search. I was like, he's done. He just gave up on that shit, dude. The fuck are you doing? Bro has a better understanding of America than most Americans.
Trump winning the election.
Fucking goose.
Why?
He's too fucking arrogant.
What do you think about his policies? Well, it hasn't got any. I think change would have been good, seeing a female. She probably would have got up if she had more time to get out and, you know, do her thing, but unfortunately, they cut their losses too late. And Trump, God help us all, he's going to get democracy the way he thinks it should be running.
Which is?
How he sees things to be running. He's going to try and change the democracy of America, don't worry about that. You know, man, they all say that their sovereignty and all that's all safe, but he will fucking try his hardest to change things slowly. I don't even know why Frick isn't even in jail. He should be in jail like anyone else that does that shit.
Well, thank you for your opinion, sir.
No worries. But on the bright side, he's just a wanker. Putin and all that, they'll be back rubbing their hands, happy that he got in, you know, thinking that everyone will be saying, well, democracy doesn't work.
You think Putin's happy that he got in?
Of course they all are. In running office, you can't even run his own business, mate. So how's he going to run the fucking country? God help the rest of the world.
He's a dickhead. You talked about it years ago. Yeah. Tradwife TikTok. I also think tradwife TikTok is like sex work for the most part. It literally is. Like for most people, for most like tradwife TikToks, like it's watched almost entirely by men who treat it as like, I mean, it's sex work. It's like sex work for conservatives, right? It's like OnlyFans content, softcore. It's fetish. If it's sex work, you support it then. I mean, I think the tradwife content is again a fantasy, and I have no issues with it. But if you think that it's like going to save you or some shit, then yeah, I'm gonna tell you that is probably not the case. The entire purpose of feminism is like, if you want to do that shit, you can do that shit. Go off, you know? It's more so about like not restricting people. I remember that video. That's when I started watching you. Oh God, maybe I should have never done that. No, I'm just kidding. Like, that's such a liberal feminist take. What do you mean? It's a normal take. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? If someone wants to be a stay-at-home mom, then yeah, great. You know, what the fuck? What do you think? I'm like, no, get back to the fucking salt mines? Like, you think that's my attitude? No, you also have to work at a marketing job, okay? You also need to get a PR degree, a communications degree, and go work in some fucking dumbass PR firm, okay? No, like, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. It's great. Who cares? The entire point is women should still have the fucking choice to choose whichever path they see fit, okay? I'm for equality. I hate y'all motherfuckers. Supporting the degradation of women through sex work is pretty misogynistic. Degradation of women? Dude, at the end of the day, it's other women that are going to tap into it and be like, that's great for me. I like that. I'm going to do that. Like, what are you talking about? I do not support any kind of systematic restrictions that stop women from going to the professional workforce and pursuing a career. The fuck? 2016 too, we're having sex work discourse. Yeah. Swerves have been so loud lately on TikTok. No, now that the gender wars is coming, gender wars have been, you know, it's been getting worse and worse overall. It's going to get choice feminism isn't real feminism. The majority of porn degrades women. Yeah, I'm not having this conversation. You're right, dude. Okay. I don't want to have this conversation. It's so fucking boring. You guys literally end up handshaking with the grossest incels, by the way. The fucking, yeah, we're going to do cum retention. Like, good luck. Have fun. Yeah, no more gooning. BRB dusting off my women's study degree. Yeah. At least according to the sex workers I talk to, they feel more degraded during retail than they did in a fucking strip club. So, and have more protections. Now, that is not the case for every single sex worker. Okay. I would never say that, but you often forget. Oh my God, I'm diving into it again. I'm diving into the sex work discourse. Oh my God, it's so 2016. Yeah, this is the reason why Donald Trump won or Donald Trump lost. You talk to sex workers who are millionaires? No, I don't. What the fuck are you talking about? No. Yeah, every stripper in Ohio is a millionaire. There's literally strippers in this community, dumbass. You think they're fucking caking? You think they're caked up? Anyway, I want to do the Tim Pool video of them tackling me and talking about it, but before we get to that, yeah, we're going to do Mike Fuckabee. We're going to talk about how the State Department has decided that today, the State Department has decided that, and this might come as a surprise to absolutely nobody in this community at the very least, okay, that turns out, you know, things are not going to get better. And it turns out that the Democratic Party's own internal assessment is that Israel was not actually violating humanitarian rights, you know? Turns out that was going on. Turns out Israel wasn't actually violating human rights, you know? Shocking. But before we get to that, let's do Trump's cabinet picks. One
in
by
Washington
one.
For the incoming Trump
I gotta
administration,
pee.
President-elect Trump has made a flurry of additional picks for top jobs, including Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. Some names you know, some names are new additions. Weijia Zhang joins us now from West Palm Beach, Florida, with more on all of it. Weijia, good morning.
Good morning to you, Tony. Good morning to everybody. President-elect Trump is prioritizing key administration roles that really reflect his top campaign promises, securing the border and boosting the economy with energy independence. And all of the appointees have at least one thing in common: fierce loyalty to Trump. Just 1 week after his resounding victory, President-elect Donald Trump is filling out his top posts.
This is a nice crowd.
Yes, they love you.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is Trump's pick to become Homeland Security Secretary. Once considered a vice presidential contender, Noem faced controversy over accounts in her memoir, but remained a strong Trump ally on the campaign trail.
Those criminals, murderers, rapists that are threatening safety in our communities, they're going to be the first ones on the list to go.
Trump is also expected to name Florida Senator Marco Rubio as his choice for Secretary of State.
We want an America that dreams big again, and for that, we need to elect Donald Trump. That's the stake in this election.
It's a long way from their rivalry for the Republican nomination in 2016.
Little Marco Rubio, he's a total disaster.
Rubio isn't the only member of Congress who could join the new Trump administration.
I have never in my lifetime seen the world falling apart like it is under Joe Biden.
Florida Congressman Michael Waltz is Trump's choice for National Security Advisor.
I fully believe in his America First agenda.
Waltz.
All that Trump's numbing any number of Jewish conservatives who'd be equally qualified for the Israel ambassador job. I'm sure all the people like Greg Gutfeld who concerned trolled about Harris not picking Shapiro over anti-Semitism would be very upset about this. No, but that's also partially because Israel is not going to be upset about this. So, of course, that's not, if Israel is not upset about this choice, then that's going to read as not anti-Semitic, right? That's the main point here, because Mike Huckabee is perhaps the absolute worst person for this position because he is a absolute psychopath, okay? In general, but certainly an absolute psychopath when it comes to Israel. He is one of the loudest voices that I have been chirping about endlessly in terms of conservative Christian far-right ultra-Zionism, okay? In the United States of America, are there Jewish Zionists? Of course, okay? You got, Miriam Adelson, for example, or Sheldon Adelson, and they are massive donors to the Republican Party, okay? And then there are liberal Zionists who are also Jewish, like Haim Saban, who are massive donors to the Democratic Party. But they all pale in comparison. Sheldon's dead, exactly, but Miriam is carrying the torch. But they all pale in comparison to the rabid nature of an evangelical Protestant Christian who is an ultra-Zionist, because their goals are not specifically tied to Jewish people or a false understanding that like Jews will only be safe in Israel, yada, yada, yada. Their goals are insane. Their goals are immaterial. They are cultists with an understanding, with a theological understanding that like the apocalypse must happen. And the only way to do that is if Israel maintains that land that is exclusively comprised of Jews, okay? It is the most insane, like you can't reason with a person like that. You know what I mean? I mean, you might not be able to reason with an ultra-Zionist Jewish person either, but at the end of the day, it comes from a different kind of social conditioning. And worst of all, and I've said this many, many times over, there are a shitload more ultra-Zionist, white nationalist Christians in the evangelical base in the United States of America that have this theological understanding, this theological justification, demanding that the rapture occurs in raw numbers, then there are Jews, Zionist and anti-Zionist alike. Okay, there are almost 10x the number of rabid evangelical Christians who believe in the apocalyptic reasons for why Israel must exist as a Jewish nation state, then there are Jews across the board. You feel me? You smell me? You understand? And it's so funny because people just like completely forget that for one reason or another. I think on the liberal Democratic Party side, they conveniently ignore that because they want to run a defensive position for Israel by maintaining the position that like Israel is they do the pro-Israel anti-Semitism, the woke dual loyalty narratives. Okay? Where they'll be like, no, you don't understand. Like, all Jews are Zionists and it's anti-Semitic if you fucking criticize Israel, right? But that is a major reason for why there's so much motion on this, okay?
A decorated Green Beret veteran talked to CBS News about how he views U.S. priorities less than 1 week ago.
Let's end this war in Ukraine. Let's pivot to deal with China. Let's secure our border. Let's rebuild our military.
Stephen Miller will play a big role.
Yeah, anybody that says the West Bank is called Judea and Samaria is like an insta red flag. When Bill Clinton did it, it was unacceptable. And when Mike Huckabee does it, you're like, uh-oh.
America is for Americans and Americans only.
As Trump's pick for Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Miller helped mastermind the so-called Muslim ban and the zero-tolerance policy that separated families at the border during the first Trump presidency. Trump has also announced Lee Zeldin as head of the Environmental Protection Agency. The former New York congressman has been criticized by environmental groups for his voting record, and Zeldin has already promised to roll back Biden regulations.
Through the EPA, we have the ability to pursue energy dominance, to be able to make the United States the artificial intelligence capital of the world.
When someone says we got to do AI shit, just know that they want to they want to create new ecological disasters that you had not even comprehended before, okay? Every time you see one of those ugly ass AI art, all that AI art that you see that's ugly as fuck, they're basically boiling the fucking coral reefs to be able to get that, okay? Yeah. Yes, we started a new denaturalization project under Trump in 2025, expected to be turbocharged. Justice Department establishes an office to denaturalize immigrants. That's what Stephen Miller said in 2023. Do you think the heavy use of AI over the last few years had a hand in the hurricane season insanity? I mean, certainly. Yeah, even oil companies are saying Trump is too extreme on climate change. This happened literally under the Trump administration as well. Oil giant ExxonMobil opposed President-elect Donald Trump's plans to pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement, a company spokesperson told to a CNN statement. A second U.S. exit from the Paris Climate Agreement will have profound implications for the United States' efforts to reduce its own emissions and for international efforts to combat climate change, an ExxonMobil spokesperson told in a statement. We advocate for policy that accounts for security, affordability, reliability, and environmental stewardship, not drastic changes that could hinder the progress being made today. I mean, it's performative for the most part. They much prefer the Joe Biden method, which was, aesthetically do the right things while still, increasing our over-reliance on fossil fuels. And, it's great. Good stuff. Great stuff overall. Wonderful.
To bring back American jobs to the auto industry and so much more.
Trump is heading to the White House tomorrow to meet with President Biden. It is a post-election tradition that did not happen back in 2020 because Trump did not invite Biden over when their roles were reversed. Tony?
We should thank you very much. Washington correspondent Major Garrett. Major, good morning to you. These picks matter because of the ideas people will bring to the White House, also because they're going to be overseeing huge budgets of American taxpayer dollars. But the order of these announcements tell us something, too, about Donald Trump. What does it say to you?
Two words, speed and sequence. Things are moving very rapidly. I would expect more announcements today, possibly Treasury Secretary, possibly Energy Secretary. So there's tremendous speed. There are PowerPoints presented to President-elect Trump. He's like, I don't need PowerPoints. I know what I want to do. Let's just move, move, move. Why do I say the word sequence? Because it's important as we are, as a nation, digesting these moves that, for example, Tom Homan was named the border czar before the
Yeah, I mean, he was, Obama's border guy, too, for the record. Expect liberals to get really mad about Tom Homan when, and you should get mad, but just remind yourselves, maybe quietly, that he worked under Obama as well.
There was an announcement about DHS Secretary or even Stephen Miller going in the White House as Deputy Chief of Staff of Policy. Why? Because Tom Homan, everyone knows in the Trump inner circle, will have direct access to the president, and that sequencing, naming him first, makes him more important on border matters than the DHS Secretary-to-be, Christine Ohm, or even Stephen Miller. Same thing I would say in the sequencing of announcing Elise Stefanik as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations before naming Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. That's a very odd sequencing. Usually you do it the other way around. UN ambassador, much less important than the Secretary of State. Not for Trump. He wants Elise Stefanik, a staunch defender of Israel in the UN, to not only talk about America First diplomacy, but also have Israel's back. Not just Israel generally, but the Netanyahu government. So speed and sequence really matter.
I never paid attention to sequencing.
Thoughts on Stephen Miller? He is a very prominent neo-Nazi whose entire family despises him. He has no family, he has no friends, he has nothing in his life. The only thing he has is this resilient white supremacist, white nativist attitude and an agenda that he wants to follow through on that purges this nation of anyone that is like not white enough.
Sequencing
He
before
has a
now.
wife.
Major, what does it tell you, the people
Does
that
he?
he's chosen so far, what does it tell you about the cabinet he wants to build and the administration he intends to run?
Does he still have a
So
wife?
I covered the Trump transition in
I guess he
2016
does.
going into 2017. And back then, there were two great questions. What do I do, and how should I best do it? Trump didn't have answers to that.
He's had a wife since 2020 and 3 children now.
He's never been president before. He knows the answers now. What he wants is loyalty, and he wants direct reporting. He knows the cabinet secretaries have to go through a Senate confirmation process. What he wants, though, is czars or people who have direct report power to him, who he can basically create a straight line of accountability that doesn't run necessarily through that agency's bureaucracy. It goes straight to him. You're going to see that shape many of his appointments. Obviously, there will be cabinet secretaries, but there'll be others who have direct report power to him, and he will try to use that to go around the bureaucracy when and where he can.
All right, Major, we've seen Trump talk about bypassing Senate confirmations with recess appointments. Between that and naming the czars in positions, what does he accomplish with that?
So it's worth pointing out, and I know this is ancient history, but during the Obama administration, congressional Republicans accused then-President Obama, who wanted to use recess powers to fill held positions, of using brazen, unconstitutional powers to do that. Now they're basically saying Trump should do that right away. So there's a disconnect there. Using recess appointments is something that the Supreme Court has basically restrained in a clash during the Obama administration. So there's Supreme Court precedent that will limit President Trump's powers to use recess appointment. But what he's trying to signal...
Oh, they'll definitely do that. This Supreme Court will definitely follow suit and act accordingly and maintain their this Supreme Court will certainly maintain their original position. Yeah, famously, they always do that.
To the Senate Republicans and to the nation broadly is he's going to move as rapidly as he can, and if he's challenged in court, he may be set back, but he's going to move as aggressively as he can, and he wants Senate Republicans to get on board and help him as much as they're willing to.
All right, Major, he's moving very quickly. Thank you so much.
All right, Donald Trump's second administration is starting to take shape, and it is full of names you might recognize. Lee Zeldin, he's going to be running the EPA. Elise Stefanik will be the U.S. ambassador to the UN. Our friend and frequent guest, Stephen Miller, will be the Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. And just breaking earlier tonight, there are multiple reports out tonight that Florida Senator Marco Rubio will be named Secretary of State. Now, Donald Trump is also naming former acting ICE Director Tom Homan as the new border czar. He will be in charge.
Yeah, I mean, any Democrats in Trump's cabinet? Yeah, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, maybe. No, of course not, dude. Are you crazy? Are they reclaiming the word czar? Guys, that word never went away, okay? I tried to explain to you guys when liberals were like, well, Kamala Harris is not a border czar. That's not an official position. It's like, no, that it is an unofficial way to describe that you are tasked with working on that position. Like, it's a very normal thing. Every administration has done this, okay? A border czar just means it's an unofficial designation for a person that's working on that. You do health czar, right? Yeah, it just means like border boss, the boss of the border, boss baby. How much government do you think we're gonna have after this administration? I don't fucking know. Anyway, by the way, Elise Stefanik literally doesn't have a JD, doesn't even have a Bachelor of Science, just a career as moron who straight out of college joined the Bush admin and never left politics since. She has no policy chops and has no diplomacy experience. You literally couldn't find someone less qualified if you tried. She literally is just a dumbass. Yeah. Yeah, her qualifications are that she bullied university presidents for not being sufficiently pro-Israel, and she popped off big time, and that's it. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get really, really, really bad. And after here's some more dumbass shit. Border Patrol morale soars after Trump's victory, higher than the first time he won.
Was announced as border czar. We heard all these sound bites have turned out to be false.
Frustrated because no matter how good they do, the migrant flow doesn't stop. And you know, the border security mission is being completely neglected because there seems to be no light. And
yeah, totally neglected. And then let's look at the fucking dumbasses on the Democratic Party side, right? So we looked at like all the awful picks coming from Trump's cabinet, all the awful things that they are salivating to do. Okay. And I will dive a little bit further into the Mike Huckabee situation, who is an evangelical Zionist. And these guys are the absolute worst of the worst. Like, they are hallucinating. Okay. If you are an evangelical Zionist, you are the most insane person. Like, you legitimately, I'm going to describe it one more time, and I'm probably going to have to describe this a lot more. This is something I've talked about quite a bit. These guys have the most motion. Okay. These guys have the most motion in American politics. Evangelicals do. Okay. They have an outsized level of support from the motherfucking Republican Party. They always feed that base. Okay. It always feeds that. They always feed that base. Their belief is that Israel must, like, that entire Holy Land must be returned to God's chosen people, the Jews, so that the rapture can happen, so that Jesus can come back to earth and fight the devil and the devil's army in Megiddo. It sounds like a fucking anime, but that is literally what they believe, okay? This is a very real thing that a shit ton, like tens of millions of Americans, unironically believe. That's why when you go to the Deep South and you're like, what the hell is this? You got like King Rancher with truck nuts, and you got one sticker that says like Blue Lives Matter, another sticker that's like MAGA, and then the third sticker is like Am Israel High, okay? And you're like, why the fuck is there like, why is this Christian man who is the most anti-Semitic person you've ever encountered so invested in Israel maintaining its Holy Land status? And that is because they believe in this fucking anime understanding of the world. Okay? Straight up. Mike Huckabee is one of those people. In 2015, he told the Times of Israel that Israel's claim to the occupied West Bank is stronger than the United States' claim to Manhattan. Important to note that when he said this, he referred to the West Bank as Judea and Samaria and named the Palestinian Sea as an attempt to undermine their ties to the land. Okay? Here is Mike Huckabee talking about Israel, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews.
I never use the term West Bank. I find it offensive. We're talking about Judea and Samaria. Yes, and I never use the term West Bank.
Speaking of evangelism, what do American Jews think? New poll. The majority of American Jews demand stop offensive U.S. weapons to Israel, 62%. Resume funding of UNRWA, 66%. Sanction Israeli leaders, 66%. Increase aid to Palestinians, 72%. Establishment of a Palestinian state, 72%. Remember when I told you every single American Jew could be an anti-Zionist tomorrow and America's opinion on Israel would not change? Well, time and time again, I have told you this, but no one fucking listens to me. Now, you know, since October 7th, I've repeated this. One thing I regularly repeat, even if every single American Jew I should say American Jewish person, became anti-Zionist overnight. Every single Jewish American. The State Department over unconditional Israel would not change. Not these people polled, but clearly opinions don't matter. Opinions clearly. Doing him dirty, chatting. I am dog shit at video games. Yeah, it's fucked up. If Hasanabi ever decides to write a book, that shit's taking him 12 decades for sure. At least we're halfway through the Trump presidency while you were typing that tweet. Okay, everybody calm down, all right? Calm the fuck down, okay? This is not a time to yell at your allies. I'm glad we're back to our roots and making fun of how slow you type. I know. We're there. We're there, okay? We're freaking there, baby. Huckabee in 2021 said that he identifies as Chinese, mocking race. Yeah, or mocking trans people too, I think. Chatters act like they've never workshopped the email before hitting send. I know. Huckabee guided private tours in Israel, 2015 article. He is like a real freak, okay? He's a real freak. He's a real one. Mike Huckabee, tour guide to the Holy Land. Trump has nominated Mike Huckabee as U.S. ambassador to Israel. Time for a quick review of the views agenda regarding Israel-Palestine that his nomination effectively endorses. Mike Huckabee, there's no such thing as Palestinians. Mike Huckabee, Palestinian state is a fantasy. Mike Huckabee, U.S. should fund building in Judea, Samaria. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee says Washington stop funding Gaza, divert funds to Jewish communities. Mike Huckabee considers buying a home in Judea and Samaria. Mike Huckabee declares West Bank to be a part of Israel during settlement visit. Republican presidential candidate includes Judea and Samaria. Biblical name for the West Bank is a part of all of Israel during visit to discuss Iran nuclear deal. Mike Huckabee, Israel's claim to Judea and Samaria stronger than U.S. tie to Manhattan. Yeah, another tremendous victory for the anti-neocon faction. Time for regime change in Iran, he says. We should empower Iran's democratic opposition to topple the regime. Yeah, what happened to the Trump will end the wars people? I fucking told y'all, okay? I told y'all he wasn't going to do that. Even the people who were like worried about, where the war efforts will go for Ukraine. I told you, like, this is not about Donald Trump. These are not decisions that come from Donald Trump. Okay? That's it. America is uniparty when it comes to its foreign policy. One party pushes the needle further. The other party caves and capitulates and consolidates support, making that the American foreign policy. Okay? Yeah, we're going to do Colin Allred's shitty ass campaign in a second. Various updates from Washington Post. Trump is expected to name 4 deputy chiefs of staff: James Blair, Taylor Budowich, Jan Scavino, Stephen Miller. Washington Post confirms the notice scoop that Senator Joni Ernst is interested in Secretary of Defense. Trump is looking to appoint William McGinley for White House counsel. He is White House cabinet secretary in the first administration. Now, the most important role in the Trump administration, no matter which side you're on, Matthew G. Whitaker, is likely to be Trump's pick for U.S. Attorney General. Many of you likely seen Whitaker on TV defending Trump. He was acting Attorney General during the first Trump administration and a harsh Mueller critic. The goal has never been more clear. Okay? I'm telling you right now, the goal is to basically destabilize the entire region, okay, and pack it up to the best of their ability in the interim, in the short term. I'm talking about the Middle East, so they can change the crosshairs towards China. Okay? They will try to very quickly deal with Iran, Iranian influence in the region. They'll beef up Israel. They'll probably go to war. It's not going to be quick enough. They're never going to be able to deal with this in a fast-paced manner, I think. But the ultimate goal in the upcoming decade is to basically re-envision the Middle East to suit their desires, to control it completely, and then turn around and set the crosshairs against China. Now, Iran is not like Iraq or Afghanistan. Those conflicts were legitimately harmful for America at the end of the day, and they were obviously unsuccessful. We shall see what happens. But I think that their goal is to basically give Israel as much land as possible and as much control over the region as possible, and then turn around and move towards China. Okay? The Arab Americans who backed Donald Trump in Dearborn, Michigan sent him his letter today, but addressed the White House, urging him to fulfill his promises to the community and work on an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon. I've already mentioned this, but I do personally think that Netanyahu might give him a gimme, offer a brief period of ceasefire, a cessation of hostilities, that comes with a permanent annexation of at least North Gaza, okay, in an effort to have a quiet period where they get to beef up their military as fast as possible, lick their wounds, and go back for a permanent annexation of the West Bank. It's bleak, it's terrifying. I don't even know if Israel has the capability of pulling off something like this. I don't even know if America has the capability of pulling off something like this alongside Israel. And I certainly don't know how the United States of America is going to respond and how hard they're going to go for Israel. Okay? We shall see. But Hamas wouldn't agree to that, right? I mean, for their goals at this point is to have any kind of ceasefire whatsoever. They've been demanding a ceasefire from the jump. Whether they agree to it or not, I think doesn't change that dynamic. Israel could stop the halt. Israel could cease fire right now. Okay? Israel could cease its hostilities tomorrow, yesterday. It's entirely up to them to stop the pain. We ain't doing shit, dog. Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, this is the current state of affairs in our current State Department. Just so you understand, this is the Democratic leadership. Remember Biden's red line? That's supposed to materialize in the next 3 days. So when asked the question, a direct question, the State Department says it doesn't know how many trucks have entered Gaza in the past 30 days, despite demanding that Israel allow 350 trucks a day or face policy consequences. And in a notable shift, the spokesman characterized the demands in the letter as simply suggestions for Israel to take. BBC's Tom Bateman pressed further, reporting that the UN says only 37 trucks have entered each day, about 1/10 of what was requested. Have the Israelis ended the isolation in the north? Here's Patel's answer.
November 1st through November 9th. I don't have an updated metric beyond that.
I don't care about watching Piers Morgan versus Dan Bilzerian. Yes, I know Dan Bilzerian is anti-Semitic. Okay? If you think that this is news to me, you are delusional. If you think that while I'm doing real fucking news coverage, you want me to watch some fucking drama shit where I don't like either of the parties involved, you're out of your goddamn mind. Be serious for a moment. We're literally covering State Department briefings right now.
But at least from November 1st to November 9th, we have seen 404 trucks cross into Gaza. Again, Tom, the point is not that this number is satisfactory. We certainly don't feel it is. But the point here is that some of the steps that we've seen taken, it is our hope that those steps have created the operational conditions to allow for an additional influx of trucks, to allow for an additional influx of aid.
It's not what the letter said. The letter says enable a minimum of 350 trucks per day to enter Gaza. And this is in the context of a letter that says you've got 30 days to do it. And failure to demonstrate a commitment to this may have implications under US law. The United Nations says an average of 37 trucks a day in the month of October. That's 1/10 of what you've asked for.
Certainly, there needs to be more progress when it comes to the metrics for trucks, Tom. But again, the point that I was making, and I'll reiterate it here, is that our hope is that these kinds of changes have allowed for the operational adjustments to see an additional influx of trucks and to see if that metric can be met or not. And if it is not, of course, we're going to press and continue to raise this with our partners in Israel. And ultimately, as you heard me say, the government of Israel and the United Nations have a responsibility to do everything they can to make sure that that number.
I like how nobody took this 30-day deadline serious. Everyone knew they were bullshitting. Yeah, I mean, I said it back then. It's not real. Not only is it not real, but it's also like a fuck you to the current order of business. Like, it's a fuck you to Kamala Harris too. Yeah, we'll do a red line that we won't enforce after the fucking election.
Is met. As you just heard me say at the top of this, we have seen, this reopening of Erez, this new crossing at Kisufim. We've seen some additional routes open up within Gaza. These things we think will help, hopefully help create the space to allow that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that about the measures, but I'm just asking about what you demanded in the letter. So then we had end the isolation of the North. That was a specific demand in the letter. Have the Israelis ended the isolation of the North?
We have seen some restoration of deliveries to the north that had been closed for a few weeks. First, as you heard me say, to Gaza City, as well as this week into some areas surrounding Jabalia as well.
Well, you said around Jabalia. You didn't say in Jabalia.
Areas around Jabalia and then first to Gaza City.
So that's not inside Jabalia, which presumably remains under siege.
Tom, I'm not going to get into a specific tit for tat on every item in the letter. The letter was a suggestion of steps that we think that they should take.
I mean, they're just, it's so cowardly. It's so shitty. Meanwhile, watch Biden to Herzog. He had a conversation with Israeli President Herzog, who was anti-miscegenation, by the way. Real progressive voice out here. Mr. Anti-miscegenation himself. You might remember him from putting up like copies of Mein Kampf to be like, this is what the Palestinian children are reading in Gaza. Here's what Biden had a conversation with Herzog over. What the fuck? Why is this so quiet?
Archaeological artifact from the foot of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, which has the word.
Okay, I'm just going to fucking read it. Biden to Herzog says, I remember how I got in trouble back then when I said years ago as a senator, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist, and I am a Zionist. Herzog, I know you are. Clearly a Zionist. Well, God love you.
Remember how I got in trouble? We were friends even back then when I said.
Israel President Herzog to Biden. I'm here on behalf of the people of Israel, the nation state of Israel, and the state of Israel to say thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much. As we say in Hebrew, Toda Rabbah, we will never forget how you stood up with us in our darkest hour. This happened at the meeting too.
Biden, do you think that you can get a hostage deal by the end of your term?
If he thinks that he can get a hostage deal done by the end of his term, he answered, commenting on the number of cameramen in the room. Do you think you can get hit in the head by the cameraman behind you?
All right. Thank you all.
Interesting. This happened at the meeting too. Yeah, I just covered it. They don't even care anymore. Yeah. First of all, it's not because of his senility. Okay. He's not senile when he says that. He's coherent when he says that. That's just him saying, fuck you. Suck my fucking dick. Fuck the hostages is what he's saying. Okay? And they never cared. Of course they didn't care. You think Israel fucking cared about the hostages? You think the Israeli government gave a shit about the fucking hostages, dude? Benjamin Netanyahu's pathic fucking jackbooted thugs, the Likudniks, the Bibis, were already ripping the fucking hostage posters in Israel. I repeatedly explained it to you. Hostage posters in America play a very different role than hostage posters in Israel. Hostage posters in America and in the Western world was to say Israel's bombing campaign must continue. Hostage posters in Israel, on the other hand, played a significant role in disrupting the bombing campaign because the people that were putting up the fucking hostage posters were immediately related to the fucking hostages. So they were like, remember the hostages, stop bombing Gaza.
Humanitarian situation. We have 8 aid groups who came out today and said that the situation has not only not gotten better, it's gotten worse over the past 30 days. So how do you square?
Saudi Arabia started shifting its policy towards Yemen after Trump was elected president, and now they're not interested in a peace deal. It looks like they will turn around to war against the Houthis. Yeah, this is where China comes into play, because the reason why there was a ceasefire negotiation that China executed between Saudi Arabia and Iran was not specifically because China is a great peacemaker or anything like that. It was in the Saudi interest to maintain a better relationship with Iran because the Houthis and Iran were directly targeting Saudi oil refineries. They already failed to defeat the Houthis. They already failed to defeat the Ansar Allah administration once. Okay. And they suffered far worse repercussions in that process. Yes, they did a fucking genocide. Okay. But it doesn't matter. When all they know in the poorest fucking nation on the planet is being dominated regardless. This is the thing that I keep repeating to people that they refuse to understand. The penalties that you incur as a developed nation in the confines of luxury in the Western sphere of influence is very different than the human cost and what kind of dramatic attitude swings occur when you're, a Yemeni citizen. Okay. That's why the Ansar Allah administration's actions against Israel instituting a blockade on the Red Sea was so overwhelmingly popular for everyone in Yemen that armed factions that were killing each other prior to this event put down their arms and said, we are all one nation. We stand with the Ansar Allah regime. So that's it. Like, these people do not have the same perspective that you do living in fucking the United States of America or in a nice neighborhood in Europe, okay? All they've known is war. That's all they've known. And that is precisely the reason why killing a shit ton of these people is not going to stop them. That's why America is lost time and time again. Okay? Barack Ravid says, I don't want to depress you, but because of the Israeli government, we are much closer to Israeli settlements being built in Gaza. At J Federations, Barack Ravid says, the Jewish Federations of North America, I don't want to depress you, but because of the Israeli government, we are much closer to Israeli settlements being built in Gaza than hostages coming home from Gaza. Shocked murmurs, lots of oh my God from a crowd usually solidly pro-Israel. Yeah, liberals are going to hit the fucking liberal Zionist exit ramp now when they could have pulled on that cord under the Biden administration but refused to do so. Just wait. The acclaimed British surgeon testifies to the UK Parliament detailing how IDF quadcopters could arrive at the scene of airstrikes in Gaza, pick off, shoot the injured, including children.
Was that a bomb would drop maybe on a crowded, tented area, and then the drones would come down and...
Please take your time. We're incredibly grateful that you're making the time to be here today, and I can only imagine just how it has impacted you and will continue to impact you. And I feel, because you can't unsee what you've seen, but being able to share that with us really helps us hold.
And before liberals turn around and say, what did you expect? These people voted for Trump. They deserve it. You're a fucking piece of shit, okay? Because what they're talking about, the gruesome details that this doctor is talking about, happened under the watchful eye of the liberal international rule-based order. And that's why I showed you Biden's reaction and Biden's conversation with Isaac Herzog. That's why I showed you that the current State Department, under Democratic leadership, has overseen this genocide and has defended it tooth and nail every step of the way. Okay?
Continue to pay close attention
But
to.
it's important, isn't it? Because
what happened to that fucking red line that they were supposed to enforce? Nothing. Everybody knew it wasn't going to be enforced.
That with this assessment that you have, or non-assessment that they are in violation.
Jenny, I can't speak to the kinds of assessment that these groups made. Certainly have seen that reporting. But to Matt, I just laid out some of the metrics that we saw. We saw the reopening of Erez. We saw a new crossing opening.
Measure. You're saying, okay, they did this, but we were told, you guys said it would be based on the results on the ground that have not borne out here. So I get. Can you talk us through the deliberation here?
I'm not going to get into the deliberative process, Jenny, but specifically when we're talking about specific metrics or specific actions or things on the ground, the hope is that the operational changes that have been made through some of these things, for example, just the waiving of the customs requirement in the Jordanian corridor or the reopening of certain crossings, the additional internal routes that we've seen open up.
How is there any way to be remotely optimistic about this? Seems like nothing is ever going to improve. No, it's not. It's going to get worse. That's it. And not only is it going to get worse, at the domestic level, you are going to see a lot more right-wing commentary everywhere. It's already everywhere, but it's going to even grow. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. And then in that process, I think there will be left-wing mobilization as well. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know. I don't know how we get out of this situation.
The hope and the desire is that things like that will make it possible for an additional increase in humanitarian aid and trucks to get to the places where it needs to go. And of course, if that doesn't end up being the case, this is something that we are constantly evaluating and constantly assessing. And if that...
Please, can you offer anything besides guess you better die to chatters, me freaking out? The fuck do you mean, man? What are you saying? What do you want me to say? You want me to fucking lie to you? Like, no. The only thing you can look forward to in the upcoming 4 years is protecting yourself and protecting your communities and protecting the people around you. Okay, organize. That's it. I can't fucking lie to you and be like, no, shit's gonna be great. It's not. Okay, it's just not gonna be great at all. And as I said, I will keep trying. I will keep working, and I urge you to do the same thing. And in times of, in moments of weakness, okay, in moments of insecurity and vulnerability, remember that the only thing you can change is the only thing you have control over is your own body, is your own life. Okay, so improve your immediate circumstances to the best of your ability, so you can be better at organizing for others. Okay, that's it.
That doesn't be the case. We, of course, are going to make sure that how they are conducting themselves is in compliance with U.S. law. There is no doubt about that. But we also have seen some steps taken that we think will address things like throughput, that will address things like capacity, that will
Join an organization, talk to your neighbors, okay? Join a fucking intramural league, talk to normal human beings. Get the fuck off the internet if you have to. That's it. The only thing you can rely on is other like-minded individuals, okay? Yeah, join the DSA, join PSL, join local organizations that are issue specific, okay? Join non-political organizations as well. The only thing you can rely on is your community in times like this, okay? And never stop the pressure, because the one thing that you always have to remember is that, at least in all of my years of advocating for Palestinian emancipation, the one thing that I've always seen is that these guys who have only known death and destruction their whole lives since birth, okay? Palestinians living in Gaza, Palestinians living in the fucking West Bank, the only thing they've ever known is Israeli domination, the apartheid regime, and its most violent and its most humiliating, ritualistic humiliation that they subject the Palestinians to. And in spite of all, they have existed and continue to exist and continue to resist it. Okay? So if they can do it, you can do it too. All right? That's it. You can't let people, you can't let systems destroy your life, even when they're actively working to erase you. You have to still put your best foot forward. You have to still organize. You have to still advocate for others. And instead of sitting around online and crying about it, you have to keep enjoying yourself as well, no matter what happens. That's it. At moments like this, it's very easy to find yourselves in the throes of nihilism, to be like, nothing is going to change, so why should I care? Nothing is going to change, so why should I do anything about it? This shit sucks. Okay? And the reality of the matter is, you got to do it for other people, and you got to make sure that you are standing on firm ground. Okay? Yeah. This was a funny thing that I saw. Remember when Post Left Watch posted this Will Menaker tweet, or this Will Menaker moment from Chapo Trap House?
Felix, I think another thing at work here is like the fact that like every evil thing, like for instance, like if you're a liberal Zionist, you have to be against the West Bank settlements. And then like as long as Netanyahu's in charge, those are never going to stop. And in fact, they're going to intensify. I think you see a similar dynamic here in Democrats when they're confronted with the fact that Arab Americans or Muslim Americans are maybe withholding their vote from Joe Biden. And you see how immediately the Seldowitz jumps out of them.
Yes,
they're like,
yes.
enjoy being in a camp. And I think for the liberals, they need to have a bad right-wing guy carrying this out so they can sort of displace onto that figure the evil things that they secretly want to take place. You know, like threatening, like for Democrats to be threatening Muslim Americans with deportation under Trump, wink, wink, is just like they just want Trump to do that for them so they can say, oh, we didn't actually do that. We support Muslims.
Absolutely.
But as soon as they become inconvenient.
Yeah, Stuart Seldowitz is who he's referencing, the famous racist Obama administration guy who did a hate crime and was like doing daily harassment to this Egyptian fucking food cart guy in New York.
Like, for instance, like whether they are voicing a political opinion in America as citizens of this country, or inconvenient in terms of like they live in a part of the world that Israel thinks is theirs, that their lives are forfeit.
Well,
and they don't want to hear anything about it.
Arabs and Muslims, like more generally, have their use as long as they're firmly within the democratic camp, and then once if they make any attempt to stray from that, or like or any advocacy for anything but like
we need like an ethno-nationalist threatening to like ethnically cleanse the country to keep everyone in line. And to keep the good, to keep the liberal side, to keep our good minorities in the tent pitching for us.
Will is describing why liberals will always hate us more than they hate the hogs. The hogs give them what they desire most, which is moral superiority. We treat them like they treat the hogs. They'll always fight us harder. Exactly. That's why there was so much resistance to Bernie Sanders internally in the Democratic Party. Obviously, the material reasons was Bernie Sanders was showcasing a method that was ultimately disruptive for the corporate donors within the party, and they care about that a lot more. But also on the messaging front, Bernie Sanders showcasing that like there is a different, very populist message that you could push for, that you could put forward, was the scariest prospect for the Democrats. Why was it the scariest prospect for the Democrats? Because God forbid you get a bunch of progressive-minded individuals that are the base of support for the Democratic Party, and there are plenty of them, okay? Some of them vote reliably, some of them don't vote so reliably, but it doesn't matter. They exist, right? All of those people would go, wait a minute, I agree with that guy, and that is the most terrifying prospect. That is the scariest prospect for the Democratic Party. It's not a strong Republican Party. It's not a Republican Party that is doing a shit ton of fascism. Because they can always present themselves as like the counterbalance towards that. As things get worse and worse for them, as things get worse and worse for marginalized populations in this country, they can always point to how much worse things are under Republican leadership and collect nice ass fucking pay stubs or nice ass paychecks and farm donations, right? To quote unquote resist. MSNBC is supposed to be the Fox News equivalent for the Democratic Party. And for every one radical leftist Bernie style person on there, there are a million former George W. Bush administration PR professionals. Okay? Understand that. They are more afraid of the actual left because the actual left makes them look cowardly and weak. The actual left makes them look like they have no real interest in defending people. That's why you see so many of these like out of touch DC consultants that are stuck in this fucking idiotic bubble consistently going on television and being like, it's actually woke that caused the Democratic Party to lose. Okay? They didn't go woke at all. As a matter of fact, they were significantly more, even annoyingly woke, aesthetically woke, closer to the Latinx narratives in 2020 when they did win. Okay?
Because that threat of being, even more egregiously victimized or oppressed is just held over their head. Not actually listening to them or doing anything that would actually win their vote. But no, like they need to be disciplined with the threat, whether it's Netanyahu in Israel or Trump in America.
Well, I mean, and like the simple calculation that the White House has made, which, maybe makes sense for them, right? Is that there is a much more moneyed and influential block of voters, and those are people who are pro-Israel, whether they're mostly on the Democratic side, Jewish or Christian, that compared to the Muslim lobby and the Muslim voting bloc is completely outweighs them.
Anyway, when Israel annexes the West Bank and its 3 million Palestinian residents and refuses to give them equal rights, there will be no argument left over whether it is an apartheid state. At that point, it can either go on as an apartheid state and face international isolation or grant equal rights. No third party since they foreclosed Palestinian statehood. They already don't have an argument. They are already an apartheid state. The West Bank has already been annexed in practical terms. They may make it formal now, which would mean the end of the two-state paradigm. It would allow a shift to working towards equal rights for all citizens of Israel in one state. And they 100% will absolutely do Jim Crow style apartheid shit once the West Bank is permanently annexed. They're just going to keep deporting as many Palestinians as possible, and maybe even Palestinian citizens of Israel, as they are doing right now, okay? As they are increasing the pressure upon the Palestinian citizens of Israel that have been granted citizenship since 1967.
Legislators particularly to account. So we do appreciate the time that you're making for us today. Thank you.
So anyway, I know you criticize me, but I do think the accelerationist perspective is super valid now. It's our only option to work harder and faster. I already told you this. It is the Democrats that fucking accelerated, okay? Yes, I didn't finish that clip. I don't want to watch a doctor talk about how quadcopters assassinated children, okay? I know that the doctor is going to say that. I don't want to watch it, okay? I've seen it. I've seen it a million times over. Enough. The U.S. State Department says it's not made an assessment that Israel is in violation of U.S. law in reference to the 30-day U.S. deadline. It says there is no policy change to announce. The U.S. State Department saying it has not made an assessment that Israel is in violation of U.S. law in reference to the 30-day U.S. deadline for Israel to improve conditions in Gaza comes after 8 humanitarian organizations announced the opposite. Here are the 8 humanitarian organizations that find Israel failing or being insufficient on every single demand the U.S. gave it last month to improve the situation in Gaza over 30 days. Enabling a minimum of 350 trucks per day to enter Gaza. They didn't do that. Instituting adequate humanitarian pauses across Gaza as necessary to enable humanitarian activities, including vaccinations, deliveries, and distribution, at least for the next 4 months. They didn't do that. U.S. won't suspend military aid to Israel as Gaza deadline expires. My story on Axios. In a surprise to absolutely no one. In a surprise to absolutely fucking no one. There is no change, and Biden's red line was fucking nothing. Who could have thought? Who could have foreseen this? Who could have seen this happen? Israel's liberal opposition? Okay. Pay attention to where the U.S.-Israel policy may be heading. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, who President-elect Donald Trump nominated Tuesday to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel, previously argued that there was no such thing as a Palestinian. Huckabee, who has been a strong defender of Israel throughout his career, made the statement in his 2008 presidential campaign asserting that Palestinian identity was a political tool to try and force land away from Israel. In a CNN video obtained by Andrew Kaczynski during Huckabee's 2015 run for president, Huckabee suggested that if a Palestinian state were to be created, it should be in neighboring countries like Egypt, Syria, or Jordan, rather than within Israel's borders, which he includes Judea and Samaria in it, which is the West Bank, occupied Palestinian territory of the West Bank, which Mike Huckabee refers to as Judea and Samaria. Basically, there's really no such thing as, I need to be careful about saying this because people will get really upset. There's really no such thing as a Palestinian, Huckabee said at a 2008 campaign stop in Massachusetts while speaking to 2 Orthodox Jewish men. There is not. Yeah, I don't want to watch it. A thread by the head of the opposition, Yair Lapid, explaining how he supports collective punishment against the families of terrorists and banishing Minister of Knesset Ofer Kassif from the Knesset. The real opposition in Israel is about 5 to 14 members of the Knesset out of 120. This is the liberal opposition to Benjamin. Israel is full-blown fascist. Anyone that fucking tries to say that that's anti-Semitic is a delusional fucking loser coping with their own personal commitments and their own personal idealistic understanding of what Israel represents. That's it. And no, I will never fucking stand down from openly recognizing that reality. Okay? You can suck my dick. Sick and tired of having to fucking deal with people's own personal biases. Like, this is just cognitive dissonance in full fucking display. I don't know if you saw this. I mean, it's the least shocking thing this piece of shit has said. Anyway, let's get the fucking... Oh, by the way, where are we at with... before we get to Colin Allred, okay? And before we get to Tim Cass, like, making fun of me, I guess, and all this shit, and the Streamer Award stuff, and more fun shit. It's not just personal. It's going to be hate speech law thanks to Schumer. I know. Trita Parsi went on CNN to talk about Trump's war hawk cabinet.
Trita Parsi, an expert on U.S.-Iranian relations, author of Losing an Enemy. It's good to have you both.
Will you shift to Canada if that law passes? What do you mean? Canada and England literally are already ahead of the United States of America in terms of like aggressively pursuing anyone and everyone that says anything about Israel. Yeah, Canada's really going to be a safe haven for me.
Teresa, let me start with you. What should we take out
Canada literally adopted the IHRA definition already.
of the meeting in Riyadh yesterday?
I think it's a very strong indication of where some of the Arab states in the Persian Gulf are leaning towards. The analysis among some of the hawks in the Trump circle is that they can go back to the situation in 2016 and 2017, where they laid the groundwork for some form of an Arab-Israeli alliance against Iran, which the Arabs at the time were quite in favor of. Things have changed, however. At this point, it's very clear both the Saudis and the Emiratis want to make sure that they absolutely stay out of any war that involves the United States, Israel, and Iran. And part of the reason for this, of course, is the anger amongst their own.
This is what I mentioned. Mohammed bin Salman yesterday, despite his own personal disagreements, openly recognized what Israel's doing is genocide. Okay, just so you understand. So it's a unique predicament, and I think Americans are operating on the OG, like on the old school assessment of the situation. And yes, Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, would be very knowledgeable on genocides, you know. Anyway, so yeah, here it is at the Arab Summit. The kingdom reiterates its categorical rejection of the genocide committed by Israel against the brotherly Palestinian people, which has left more than 150,000 martyrs and injured, most of whom are women and children. Now, the other side of the story, regardless of Mohammed bin Salman's own personal convictions that it would be so much better if all Palestinians ceased to exist, which he has openly recognized time and time again, because he just wants fucking Neom. He just wants like Saudi to be in the sphere of influence of the Western world. He wants tourism. He wants to diversify the Saudi portfolio. These are things that he is trying to do. For him, it's like, yeah, the Palestinians present an issue because his own people, understandably, have a very different mindset on the emancipatory struggle of the Palestinians. Now, having said that, he still has to obviously optically be against Israel, regardless of what his own personal ambitions or his own personal convictions might look like. Now, having said that, okay, the other side of the story is not just about Saudi Arabia. It's not what MBS is saying. Mohammed bin Salman is saying. The other side is China. China does not want instability. China does not want Iran and Saudi to be at each other's throats. So for China, he wants energy to keep flowing. And for that reason, because they need oil for their projects and their developmentary projects, okay? China has already instituted a peace negotiation between Saudi Arabia and Iran. This happened before. October 7. China brokered a ceasefire between Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Biden was the one opposing it and wanting to continue the blockade of Yemen. Having said that, okay, the major pressure point for Saudi Arabia in coming to the table for this wasn't just because China wanted it. It was because Saudi Arabia does not want their oil refineries to be lit on fucking fire. That's it. Okay? That's it. They saw during the Formula One thing in their, sports washing initiatives, they saw in the backdrop their oil refineries on fucking fire. That is never going to be good. That's not a good look. That doesn't say this is a safe country that you can come to, white tourists. And that certainly is not good for their economic interests, regardless. That picture is the real reason why they came to the table. That picture is the real reason why they haven't been so fucking over the top with their support of Israel's defense, even though they have supported Israel's defense, specifically over the Red Sea.
Populations with what Israel has been doing in Gaza and the West Bank and increasingly in Lebanon but also because of realization that Iran's ballistic missiles are so effective that they penetrated Israel's many layers of air defenses, and as a result, will also be able to penetrate whatever the United States has provided these countries. So they're much more vulnerable vis-a-vis Iran as well than what they thought they were back in 2016. All of this is adding to their desire to stay out of any type of a conflict and help de-escalate the situation.
Anyway, so let's get to Colin Allred. Colin Allred ran a cowardly campaign for New Republic. I wrote about the Southern social media strategy, Olivia Juliana, Isaiah Martin, and the rot of the core of modern campaigning. Okay? Now, Colin Allred still, in spite of all of this, okay, what the fuck, ran better than Kamala Harris did. Okay? When imagining the platonic ideal of a Democrat running for national office in a red state, the party's old guard expects certain boxes to be ticked. The first among them is always the same. They have to be tough, a trait often signified by military service. Think Amy McGrath, the Kentuckian Marine, self-described as fiscal conservative who challenged Mitch McConnell. Or MJ Hagar, an Air Force veteran who took on Texas Senator John Cornyn the same year. Next, you must cut an ad that receives tremendous national attention. Then watch the money faucet flow. McGrath, for instance, outraised McConnell by more than $32 million. Hagar, in addition to outraising Cornyn, cut viral ads that had previously received vocal support from Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda. The latest high-profile iteration of this brand of politician was Colin Allred, a Dallas native, a civil rights lawyer, and a former NFL linebacker who took on Senator Ted Cruz. His statewide strategy was codenamed Texas Offense, and his ads were spliced with mentions of his glory days on the gridiron. He grabbed attention and nearly outraised Cruz, a prodigiously unpopular candidate in what was one of the most expensive races in the country. And like McGrath and Hagar before him, Allred lost by a humiliating margin. Okay? Ted Cruz, one of the least popular Republicans in the entire Senate, was able to put numbers on the fucking board. Okay? He was able to put up 970,000, almost 1 million more votes than Colin Allred. Okay? Literally. While Cruz underperformed Trump in counties across the state, Allred also underperformed in almost all aspects of the state's most populous counties, most of which already swing Democratic and have barely won more than Beto O'Rourke's 2018 total. The loss was so bad that Texas' longtime Democratic Party chair, Gilberto Hinojosa, stepped down, but not before he partly blamed Democrats' loss on the party's support for trans rights. Shocking. Texas Democrats perennially claim to be on the brink of turning the state blue, but this latest beatdown ought to be the first that yields a true reckoning with why the party continually disappoints in elections in a state which, the party's sages tell us, demographically ought to be shifting to their advantage. But given the recent tenor from the party's centrist wing, from Hinojosa down to his Gen Z heirs apparent, the lesson of Allred's loss, that no amount of money or online clout can paper over a candidate's weaknesses, could just as easily fall on deaf ears. In his concession speech last week, Allred stumbled through a Winston Churchill quote, "Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees all others." It took courage, he said, for him and his supporters to participate in an American election, despite the odds against them. Yet his strategy reeks of cowardice. Mirroring the Harris campaign, Allred ran to the right on the border and threw trans people under the bus. Counter to Harris, Allred tried differentiating himself from Biden, even voting to condemn his open borders policies. It wasn't enough. The Democratic Party prefers candidates, particularly in red states, who can raise a lot of money quickly. Allred visited just 34 of Texas's 254 counties, signaling an aversion to public confrontation, but spent a mind-boggling $57.75 million on advertising and marketing to make up for it. How? He relied heavily on donation centers in other states, particularly the suburbs of Washington, D.C., receiving far fewer smaller dollar donations in-state and leaning on political action committees to make up the difference. When journalists and friendly critics pointed out the obvious risks to his strategy, Monique Alcala, the executive director of the Texas Democratic Party, said on X that they were spreading misinformation and should please sit down. As Brandon Rottinghouse told Texas Monthly, Beto worked from the bottom up. Allred worked from the top down. This is a very important thing for people to recognize. Okay? Beto O'Rourke's popularity came from not only his ground game, but also from the way he campaigned. He ran a pro-LGBTQ, pro-immigrant, and anti-gun campaign. He's got the closest a Dem has ever gotten to winning over a Texas seat since the party switch. Okay? Important to understand that. Now, Beto was far from perfect. But it seems time and time again that people respond positively. People respond positively when you go out and meet them where they're at. As early as the primary, fellow Texas Democrats were ringing alarm bells about a wayward campaign, but online, Allred's team seemed more interested in squashing intra-party dissent than winning in November. After Jen Ramos, a member of the Texas Democratic Party's executive committee, told the Texas Tribune in August that Allred was taking the party's liberal base for granted, a group of influencers and organizers went out of their way to discredit me, Ramos told me, adding that she was accused of aiding and abetting Ted Cruz. Wow. Shocked to find out, guys, that the method of yelling at people who are ringing the fucking alarm bells about not being, not doing enough to activate your base of support and relying on them to turn out without offering them any assurances that you will defend them was an unsuccessful strategy. Oh my God. Olivia Giuliana, a 21-year-old influencer who spoke at this year's Democratic National Convention and was advertising the Allred campaign on youth voter turnout, took a similar line to Alcala, writing on X in the wake of the Tribune article, anyone saying Colin Allred hasn't intentionally engaged the base or traveled the state is spreading misinformation and frankly helping Ted Cruz's campaign divide the Democratic Party. Since last week's election, Giuliana has been ranting online against communism as if a tiny ideological milieu in the United States, let alone Texas, played a major role in their loss. These people would rather fucking fight imaginary communist demons in their fucking minds than actually run a normal campaign. What a frustrating reality. But it doesn't matter because the Democratic Party will always uplift fucking losers. That is just what it is. If your strategy relies on you to elevate graceful winners like fucking Jamie Harrison, for example, why would any of these careerist hacks actually get their shit in order? They're just going to keep failing upwards. That's why you have the likes of that Lindy Lee woman, okay, who was more predisposed with rat fucking the Bernie campaign, talking about how Bernie bros did online harassment towards her. And she was rewarded. She was fucking rewarded. These guys are the ones who get rewarded. Okay? There is no interest in winning. There's only an interest in losing gracefully and holding true to the ideological commitments that the Democratic Party has to third way neoliberal politics, even though it is very obvious that absolutely no one in the real world looks at that and goes, I want that. That's for me. Okay? You can read endless think tanks backed by big pharmaceutical corporations and the healthcare industry that tell me that it's actually bad to have Medicare for all. But when you go and talk to normal people in the real world and you go, hey, wouldn't it be nice not to worry about, in the words of Felix Biederman, a car payment style bill the moment that you visit a hospital? Virtually every single normal American is going to look at that and go, yeah, I like that. Actually, that seems insane that we have to do that. Okay. Mother Jones's Serena Lynn had asked the Allred campaign in October why they'd avoided larger rallies, but was directed to Giuliana, who claimed it was a more strategic, targeted way of reaching people. Allred was focusing more on identity-focused coalition groups, Lynn wrote, including Republicans for Allred, chaired by former Representative Adam Kinzinger. Wow. Remember Adam Kinzinger and his assessment of what I was saying about the fucking leaning on the Republican shit, who he claimed was how to lose the election in 2028? Here, let me pull that tweet real quick. Let me show you what the fuck is really good, just so you understand the mentality of these generational fucking losers. Okay? These guys, once again, are more predisposed with maintaining their ideological commitments to third-way neoliberalism and inherently reactionary points of view, and they want to win by those standards. Let me explain something to you. This is that Adam Kinzinger. How to guarantee a loss in 2028, says Adam Kinzinger on November 6th. I don't want to say I told you so, but this run to the moderates looks like a spectacular failure, I said on the night of the election. Lethal military, muscular border policy, and parading Liz Cheney didn't swing votes in Dems' favor and only worked to normalize Republican positions. To which I responded with, brother, have you looked at the election results? She lost because she listened to people like you. But fear not. There is a metric ton of idiotic commentary on every fucking outlet that your grandparents and your parents listen to, priming them against these secret shadowy trans people that are the real reason why the Democrats lost. The left is the real reason why the Democrats lost. Okay? Fear not, everybody. Everyone is going to keep running the same idiotic route over and over again as the media eludes anyone over the age of 45 that still listens to fucking newspapers into a false narrative. Republicans for Allred, chaired by former Representative Adam Kinzinger, prominent anti-Trump Republican, also endorsed Harris. The more likely reason Allred wasn't more regularly found out on the hustings was because he was a snooze on the podium. The Texas Observer pointed out that his stage presence was underwhelming, that he lacked even basic charisma. Meanwhile, Allred's outreach to farmers, who make up 14% of the state's workforce and more than 12% of the U.S. total, by far the most of any state, was sporadic at best. Clayton Tucker, a rancher and a chair of the Lampasas Democratic Party, based in the 712 square mile county with a population of fewer than 24,000, said between the crowded Democratic primary and Election Day, there was quite a dry spell in communication. Tucker lobbied hard for Allred to appear before the farmers and lay out his vision. Finally, in October, what is this? Trump's Israel ambassador said, yeah, no, I know. What? Hope you're fucking ecstatic. Oh, Trump's Israel ambassador has said there's no such thing as a West Bank. It's only Judea and Samaria. Hope you're fucking ecstatic about your apathy this election, bud. Glad you get to stay on your high horse while throwing Palestinians under the bus. Number one, I don't think you care about Palestinians. Clearly, you don't. Okay? And I don't know why you have to even try to act like you care because you think you're winning some fucking talking point. There was never a moment where I didn't say that Donald Trump would be worse for the Palestinians overall, okay? But Kamala Harris also straight up lost the election specifically because she personally ran a strategy of actively pushing anyone who cared about Gaza away from the party. Not only did she not separate on Biden on a multitude of different issues, she certainly did not separate on Biden on this objectively unpopular policy of Gaza. And that is precisely why she lost. And liberals like you don't care about the truth at all. And that's why you're in here doing fucking, you're in here being an inhuman piece of shit. Now, what do I mean by you're being an inhuman piece of shit? Donald Trump's Israel ambassador said there's no such thing as the West Bank. Meanwhile, Biden had said that there's a red line that will be enforced where Israel will no longer have weapons transfers unless they commit to 350 food trucks and humanitarian aid trucks crossing over the boundary into North Gaza. Israel never followed through on this, and the Biden administration, as of today, as the deadline has closed for this enforcement, has said it's okay, they violated it, but it doesn't matter. There was no real red line to begin with. So talk to me about why you actually care about the Palestinians. You clearly do not. Okay, show me a clip or a video of Donald Trump ever saying something that is a drop of empathy for Palestinians. My friend, you are so fucking stupid. I am openly telling you what I said time and time again. Donald Trump is no friend to the Palestinians is what I specifically said. But you know what Donald Trump did do? Okay, he took advantage of the fact that it was the Democrats that were funding and facilitating this genocide. He also then turned around and went to Dearborn and did the aesthetic posturing as though he actually cares about fucking Arabs or Palestinians at all. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris actively kicked Arab delegates that they had invited to the fucking campaign from the speaking engagements that she was doing. She sent Richie fucking Torres to Michigan, a person with zero name recognition, to basically say, no, do not worry. There is no real red line in fucking North Gaza, just like there was no real red line in Rafah. We're going to keep killing people. She sent Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, okay, William Jefferson Clinton, to Michigan to talk also about Judea and Samaria. So what the fuck are you talking about? Why is it so easy to find clips of Kamala saying she will give Palestinian voices a seat at the table, but Donald Trump, all she does is call Biden a Palestinian for not literally bending over to Israel? You are not going to be able to convince a single fucking person when obviously, if you're not recognizing the metric ton of harm Kamala Harris did to herself by not recognizing the uncommitted movement as a serious danger to her reelection chances, to the reelection chances of the Democrats, you're yelling at no one. Okay? There was never a moment where I said Donald Trump is going to be better for the Palestinians. Find me a clip where I said that and we'll have a discussion, okay? You can't, because that doesn't exist, because I openly recognized that Donald Trump will be worse overall. I actually maintained the position that he will permanently annex the West Bank. Why did I say that? Because he got $100 million from Miriam Adelson to specifically do just that. All you do is pretend they're one-to-one, bro. It's sad. No, what's sad is your pathetic inability, your absolute fucking inability to recognize what is happening, what is unfolding in front of your fucking eyes. Notice how you're no longer talking about how Gaza is going to get wiped out under Trump, because it already did get wiped out under Joe Biden. So shut the fuck up. You do not give a single shit about Palestinians, and it's so unimaginably cruel that you could just turn around and use Palestinians as you champion their death and destruction as a simple talking point in an effort to cope for the dogshit campaign that your candidate of choice ran. Just be honest. Be honest with myself and be honest with yourself. Don't try to present yourself as a defender of the Palestinians, okay? You're saying they're already wiped out as the most white thing I've ever heard. Jesus Christ, you really think the situation can't get worse? How sheltered. The most white thing you've ever heard. Man, shut the fuck up. Your brat campaign sucked dick, okay? And now we have to live in the fascist reality of the United States of America. Go fucking chirp about how you were excited, salivating at the prospect of Muslims being deported more. This is not an area where you can do that, okay? Brat bombs, baby. Liz Cheney. Let's hug and kiss Liz Cheney. That'll surely win us the election. Suck my fucking dick. You and the dumbasses like you that don't even get paid by the DNC to repeat the DNC talking points and continue this fucking insane hallucination that the Kamala campaign did everything she fucking could, got owned, got her shit pushed in, specifically by a incompetent loser who is a direct fucking fascist. And now the country is worse as a consequence of that. And you're coming to the one guy who kept ringing the fucking alarm bells because, in spite of my moral disagreements with a administration continuing to do genocide, I still understood that it would be far worse if Donald Trump was president. Stop yelling at me. Go and fucking read a goddamn book or something. Holy shit. It's so crazy to come in here after this ginormous electoral defeat and yell at the one guy who was like, don't do this. This is going to cost you the fucking election. You absolute dumbass. You monstrous scumbag piece of shit, dude. You guys love losing, okay? That's it. You love to lose. You love to lose because the Republicans are at least honest about their racism. You don't give a fuck. It's never going to harm you. You're most likely a white dude living in the fucking suburbs. All you love is just doing debates online. And this way, you get to stand as a morally superior being to Donald Trump's unimaginable cruelty, while it simultaneously doesn't impact you at all, and maybe deep down inside you kind of like it. That's why so many dumb fucks are now chirping about how excited they are at the prospect of Donald Trump fucking flattening Gaza, as though it hasn't been fucking flattened already. That's the whitest thing you've ever said, bro. Saying Gaza was flattened is the whitest thing you ever said. No, it's just the objective reality. Gaza has been flattened. 2.5 million people displaced, and they're getting pummeled right now under the Biden administration. If you actually cared about that sort of thing, you'd be fucking smiling and dialing your congressperson instead of chirping a goddamn Twitch chat about the one fucking person that has not only been so restrained and so balanced in this analysis, but has also made an argument to convince liberals that this is an electoral defeat waiting to fucking happen. Racist fucking liberals, dude. You gross me out. You're disgusting. You're virulent little racist monsters, okay? That's why you fucking lose every goddamn time. You have no convictions whatsoever, and you're just a fucking bot that basically says whatever the DNC is saying, whatever the Democratic Party is saying, whatever MSNBC is writing about, I'm just going to repeat over and over and over again, no matter how fucking stupid it is. There's no better, there is no clearer fucking indication that you are just as delusional as these fucking QAnon losers on the right, then coming in here after this massive fucking electoral wipeout and being like, you know why? I'm going to fucking sit here and flex. I'm going to be like, oh, look at you fucking Muslims for your apathy. I didn't even demonstrate apathy, you dumb fuck. I openly stated what was happening. If that frustrates you, then maybe, do some internal examination. Figure out why you have such cognitive dissonance. Yeah, these guys are like, you're the reason why we lost. Yeah, dude, I'm the reason. if they had listened to me, I think that they would probably have, unironically, a better shot at winning the goddamn election. So yeah, in that regard, I am the reason why the Democrats lost, because they wouldn't fucking listen to me. Yeah. Scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds. For years, Texas was seen as nothing more than the ATM for Democrats' national aspirations. The candidates will fly through Houston, Dallas, and Austin for a couple swanky donor parties and leave soon thereafter, knowing full well the state wasn't in play. But as other states such as Florida and West Virginia became less competitive and campaigns like O'Rourke showed outsiders that Texas could perhaps swing blue, donors' attention shifted. This has been a blessing and a curse. On one hand, candidates can potentially tap into a wider market, so to speak, to fund their campaign. On the other hand, it disconnects candidates from the prerequisite for local support. The more cynical among us might view this as a racket. Consider the case of Isaiah Martin, a centrist Gen Z Houstonian and a friend of Giuliano's who briefly ran for Congress. In September 2023, he posted a single ad that went viral, landing him on MSNBC to talk about his vision for the country. He acquired Colin Allred, almost got it, who previously worked for Blue Dog Representative Murray Gluesenkamp Perez, also another fucking grifter, as his campaign manager, raised about $400,000, mostly from donors outside the district, and a couple months later, unceremoniously dropped out. Despite his electoral faceplant, he became an influencer touring the country for the Harris campaign. The Texas Democratic Party is replete with organizers such as these, who always seem to fail upward. Other longtime Democrats have pointed to MJ Hagar as a similar problem. She's raised all that money, and where's she now? Far from the limelight, working for Deloitte. There's not much money to be made when you invest in grassroots, Tucker told the New Republic. I think we're too culturally obsessed with commercials and mailers. Speaking for myself, no mailer or commercial has ever convinced me of anything. But a conversation, whether that's over the phone or in person, has. Some have given up on the demographics of destiny argument, in which liberals assume the changing racial makeup of the state would inevitably mean Democrats will sweep into power. Tucker, for instance, said an emphasis on economic populism is popular in the rural counties that lie devastated to this day by NAFTA. But even as the Democratic myth lies dying, the next one has been born, that young people armed with technology and social media will connect with voters to drive a blue wave. A lot of these fucking influencers, all they do, and I'm no disrespect to the Harry Sassans of the world, but all they do is convince old people that they're doing youth outreach. That's it. And a lot of the motion that they have is within the confines of the Democratic Party, the establishment. That's it. DC guys look at a young person that sounds exactly like them and go, oh my God, this guy's killing it. Okay? This guy's fucking killing it. Holy shit. Turns out the youth love this. It's pure graft. That's all it is. Okay? But it doesn't matter, because here's why it does not fucking matter. Okay? The reason why it does not matter is because they will get elevated. They will develop a platform of prominence, even if that platform does not yield positive results, even if that platform does not yield any sort of electoral victories for the Democratic Party. It does not matter. We just keep elevating fucking losers. Okay? In late April 2023, Axios reported that Biden's 2024 digital strategy would entail an army of influencers, employing several staffers to focus specifically on young and suburban voters through content creators and offering the White House and Biden campaign on the road to hundreds of unpaid social media stars. 4 months later, the liberal super PAC Progress Now dropped $70 million on a project per Politico to make Joe Biden cooler online. Around the same time, Democrats' campaign tech companies were acquired by a private equity firm that laid off a quarter of its employees. A new emphasis on influencers was concurrent with a shriveling legacy consultant sector, effectively cutting out the middleman, but this didn't entail better results. After the election, the nation's Elie Mystal proclaimed that liberals need to build their own Joe Rogan. Perhaps a natural conclusion to this strategy, combating thick-skulled propagandists with thick-skulled propagandists. If there's a takeaway here, it's that the Allred campaign was more of a social media campaign than a Senate campaign. Like McGrath and Hagar before him, Allred and his team were relying on high-profile surrogates and an ungodly amount of money to flood the zone. This, in some respects, is not that different from the Trump method, by the way. The only difference, however, is that Trump at least engages in some level of populism, albeit a right-wing populism, okay? But some populism is a necessity. If you don't do that, then you're fucked, okay? He can come across as personable. He can come across as honest, even though we all know he's a dishonest charlatan and a fucking comment of the highest order, a person with multiple failed businesses, 6 bankruptcies under his belt, okay? Yes, I know. Mike Fuckabee is the goddamn ambassador to Israel. I know. Why the fuck are people coming in here and spamming this shit? I know. I already covered it. Okay? I covered it 1 million times over. Stop. I know.
And this is what's going on.
Here, look at how This conversation about how reassured they are by Trump's foreign policy appointments made me actually yell things I can't type here at full volume in front of the TV at my mom.
Incoming administration continues to build its cabinet, eyeing MAGA loyalists like Stephen Miller for Deputy Chief of Staff, former New York Congressperson Lee Zeldin as EPA Chief, South Dakota Governor Christian Zionism. She's going to head up Homeland Security, so watch your dogs.
Yes.
As well as Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, who used to have a much different take on his future boss. Take a look.
We cannot allow a con artist to get access to the nuclear codes of the United States of America. He's always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me, he's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2". Have you seen his hands? They're like this. And you know what they say about men with small hands?
He hit my hands. Nobody has ever hit my hands. I've never heard of this one. Look at those hands. This guy is such a scoundrel. This guy is a disaster. On top of which, he's a choker.
No matter what happens in this election, for years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump, because this is not going to end well one way or the other.
Oh, gosh. It did for you.
So, what do you think of all this?
You know, I've known Marco Rubio for a very long time. He and I grew up in Republican politics in Miami together. Haven't spoken to him in several years. He's changed a lot. He probably thinks I have too. But I will say this. Marco is qualified. He's been on foreign relations in the Senate for many years. I'm happy because he knows Latin America, which for me is a region that's often forgotten. He speaks Spanish. He knows who these leaders are. He knows what the issues are.
I wonder why she would be saying these things. I wonder why they are so reassured by Marco Rubio. I wonder if her personal attitude towards what must happen in Latin America are directly in line with Marco Rubio's. Someone send me the fucking tweet, please. This is Rhino, never Trump Republican, Ana Navarro, okay? Ana Navarro, who gets to operate within the confines of the Institute of Politics at Harvard University, born in Nicaragua, okay, obviously aligns with Marco Rubio on foreign policy. Here's Ben Norton's tweet. Ana Navarro is from a rich family of Contras, a fascist CIA-run death squad who massacred civilians and burned hospitals in Nicaragua. She hates the Sandinistas because they overthrew oligarchs like her and gave housing, education, and healthcare to the poor. Contra-supporting CNN pundit Ana Navarro lobbied for corrupt right-wing Latin American governments as a Republican strategist. She also openly said, "My dad was a Contra. I'm grateful to RR for his support of freedom. You're kind of young to be a true Reaganite." Now, don't you think that's insane? Here's again. To my friends in New York, I still have some connections with old Contra leaders if needed. To my friends in New York, I have some connections with old ISIS members if needed. Some old Al-Qaeda members if needed. That's what the equivalent is. 1980 murders of U.S. missionaries in El Salvador. In December 2nd, 1980, 4 Catholic missionaries from the United States working in El Salvador were raped and murdered by 5 members of the El Salvador National Guard. From 1979 to 1990, the Contras were right-wing, far-right fascist paramilitary groups that the CIA backed and defended, okay? During their war against the Nicaraguan government, here I'll use Wikipedia, there were numerous examples of Contras committing human rights violations and using terrorist tactics. Many of these actions were reported to be carried out systematically as a part of the strategy of the Contras. Organizations that supported the Contras, such as the Reagan administration, argued that the Contras did not deliberately use the attacks on civilians to advance their goals. The CIA, which was involved in the creation of the Contra groups, argued that the Contras' actions against civilians were a result of poor discipline characteristic of irregular forces instead of an official tactic. The CIA also reported that one Contra leader was executed by the group due to his excessive violence against civilians. The Global Terrorism Database reports that Contras carried out more than 1,300 terror attacks. Here's Ana Navarro shitting on Marco Rubio. They've been outing themselves to kiss his ring. Marco Rubio is one of the worst. How dare Marco Rubio compare Trump to being a felon to communist Cuba? 5,600 Cubans at least were shot in front of firing squads. And another 12,000 in addition to that were shot and killed. How dare you use their names in vain so you can suck up to Donald Trump? Don't you dare compare our judicial system to that. She was mad that Marco Rubio was comparing the political persecution of Donald Trump to, the Biden administration of Fidel Castro. Her explicit purpose for being platform is to launder and sandwash the ever-shifting right-wing movement in the United States liberal mainstream media. Yes.
Damn, this guy's good.